Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. Still getting set up here, so bear with me. Let's get some lights on, and then we'll turn on the screen so I can see what you see. We'll check the audio. Let me fix. Hold on a second. Let me fix something. Audio input. It says I've already got it, but I don't see it. What's up, Eddie? All right, check these settings. All right. Not that you want to hear the MacBook? Okay, so the MacBook works. So why is the actual microphone not working today? It's not on mute. Check, check, 1, 2. It's back, man. With an echo. So I guess turn off the monitor. And now we'll check out. Oh, the echo might have been coming from YouTube. So let me turn the monitor back on and see how it sounds. Monitor and output. It's too much of a delay on the monitor. So I'm gonna turn that off. And I know it's not coming from YouTube because that's muted. So let's continue. Let's get the lights turned on. Let's get the screen turned on, and we'll get started. Okay, we'll close that. And like I said, well, I said you probably didn't hear it. The background filter is off, so I'll be clear. But then you'll hear the baby just yammering. So lights. I'll bring this over here. We're pulling in 177 watts from solar. And we're burning about 600, so it doesn't make sense to switch to solar yet. Alright, now get the studio. And everything is shifted again. There we go. Studio's in the middle now. It used to be on the left. Left light. That's right light. Left light. There we go. Overhead. Yeah. Go back to you guys. Let's check out x.com real quick. Make sure it's working correctly. And then, because those are the two extremes for us, the YouTube and X. And X is not hiccuping. Let's see if we got audio over there. Because those are the two extremes. Okay, so now pull up the notebook, and we're rocking and rolling. I figured it'd be on the wrong page. Oh, that's terrible. Why would you? What? There we go. All right, we got some items to talk about today. Oh, I still need a screen to see them on. Let's go to that app that controls my screen and hit on. Everything flashed. No, don't quit it. All right, I need not an address. We need. Oh, I see. That's YouTube, Twitter, X. I need a video projector output. Projector, create output. And bam. No, full screen display is not 2K, 4K. That would. This thing isn't even 720p. The one on the camera. Okay. Clean these glasses a little bit. How was everyone's week? Mine had more death and destruction in it, so got a week to go to this week. Oh, I don't think I have any grandpas left at this point. Alright, there we go. Wow. I've got a wiring mess back there. Ah, this is my computer. It resides on a sit-stand desk, and I need to rearrange this room so it fits in here now that it's functioning again. Had to add about 8 ounces of distilled water to make sure it wasn't pumping bubbles. Because the last thing you want is for it to start working hard and then be pumping bubbles, which is air, when it expects a fluid and is running hot. Just like your car, you don't want to run it without coolant. Okay, where's that web browser we saved up? There it is. And let's go to this first one here. Why would you open it in that window? Did I not just click on the one I wanted? Mac is so helpful. Alright, so we're going to move this, and then it's probably going to start yammering on about SpaceX, because that's the tab that's in the way. Put it on the new tab, yes. And then... oh, he's already paused, good. This one will take back up to x.com. There we are. Now for the share screen. Let's hope I did this right. Oh, we're on the wrong view for share screen. Let me turn on the collab cam. And the link is still the same as it was the last 6 months, so if any of the end friends want to join us, just dial in. Now let's go over to presentation view, find our browser window, window capture, there it is, and the Isuzu truck, which has been many weeks past, is still up there. For not let's chat, that would be like a there we go. And I was way off on the right side, and I made it a little too short. So let's increase the height. It wasn't too bad on the height. And it wasn't that bad on the right side either. Okay, there we go. So this one, I pulled up because I liked what I saw for the Model X here. And what got us complaining about this was, Jeremy was commenting on this lady who was freaking out about the 3 children who slammed themselves into a wall in a small town that we talked about a couple weeks ago. The town has a speed limit of 25. Prior to this, their last traffic death was something like 32, 38 years ago. And then a couple weeks ago, in a Cybertruck, these 3 teens, truck versus wall prevailed, and the 3 children perished. And then all these pearl clutchers were running around saying, oh, the Cybertruck is dangerous, and blah blah blah, and oh my goodness, it caught fire. All cars can catch fire. Many cars will catch fire if you slam them into something at high speed. They have a lot of energy in them. That's how it works. And when you release it all at once, the consequences can be final. And then you add in some folks whose brains aren't fully developed. That's just a fact. Till about 25, all the critical cortexes, portions of the cortex, are not where they need to be. So consequences for one's actions are rarely part of it. And so she's freaking out here. Oh my goodness, it's going to be so hard to figure out how to get out of the car, to pull the handle that happens to exist like so many other cars out there. Those of you who drive a Model Y and Model 3 and have had somebody in the front seat try to get out, you've probably seen a lot of folks give you that message about pulling the emergency handle. Hey, just push the button. It's easier. And she pointed out this new owner of a Cybertruck who made a video like, oh, look what I just found. And what he just found was how to pull the handle. I can see that there is a possibility that you may have missed that, but that isn't the norm. Other people said, oh, you should sit down and read the manual before you drive anything. That, while true, is not how the world operates. I'll do it, because if I spend some money, I'm gonna at least flip through the manual to get an idea what's in there, even if I don't sit down and read it. But you guys may have seen my video where I talked about how to get out of all the Teslas. In fact, let's just go to that thread. But this was new to me. What Mikey put up, he in the Model 3 and Model Y, my friend Brian from I1 Tesla, he did this where he had the tags and put them in on the 3 and the Y, and from the manual that Christian shared with us here, it's a lot easier on Cybertruck than ever has been before. But what was new to me was having it on Model X. So for those of you who haven't seen my video, on Model X you need to pull off the speaker grill, and then there's supposed to be a pull tab, like a bike brake wire that you can pull to release the latch on the door, and it could be tucked behind the speaker rather than sitting in front of it. So I liked this pull to eject, and I think I might go for it on our Model X. And I asked if it could be seen by the there's an ultrasonic sensor on the newer Model X's, and by newer I mean 2018 to today. Maybe 2017 and a half to today. The old ones would bop you up the head, but the new ones, they have a sensor in there. Tesla should come from the factory with stickers that show emergency latches. I agree. Yeah, exactly, Mikey. Not everybody's going to read the manual. I knew this opportunity. Someone would beat me to it. I guess that he's talking about Brian. Do it better. I don't know how much better you can do than what Brian already did. Smart if real. What bothers me is that we've had it idiot-proof for 50 years now, and then comes Tesla. That's not true. Look at the old man who perished in the Corvette, or nearly perished in the Corvette. Same situation as the Model S. There's a little pull tab on the floor next to the door. Very easy to use, but you had to know it was there. And then you've got the original Model 3s. Unless you pre-drilled holes in the door, there was nothing happening there. At some point, I'd flipped it in my mind about being the Model Y, but the Model Y had a cover there, and I showed it in my video. So I don't know how I mixed it up in my mind, but it is. You'd have to be a pretty bad crash to make it so that you couldn't get out through the windows, or somebody else couldn't get you out through the windows, or you couldn't get through the front seats. I'm not saying it's impossible, which is why I bragged on them for not having an option in the Model 3 rears for months. So let's go into her mess and see what I put down there. Alright, so the back door is harder. You gotta pull the bottom of the door pocket out to see it, but it's pretty clear. It's standing right there on Cybertruck. Front doors, I don't know why this guy says, I just figured this out. And previously I'd commented the car did not look like it was on fire from the angles that were shown to me, because apparently the rear didn't burn, just the front where it went into the wall, and this is what's left over after the incident where it took those 3 lives. And then you've got a bunch of people pointing out that it's a normal door handle, through and through. If you've been in a car that uses a lever handle, it's either a pull up, just like it is on the emergency exits, or it's a pull in, like it is on the old S and X. It's not ambiguous at all. I don't know why the guy said, I just found this out. Unless he was aping his favorite YouTube channels. That's all I can think of. I literally had to tell people not to use the emergency handle. This goes way back on my feed, so I don't know that I could pull out what I wrote. Let's see, what car is this? Doesn't look like a Tesla. open the door. Process is different from the front and rear doors. Manually pull the door handle, and the door opens. This looks like, what is this, a Honda? What car is this? Is it a Rivian or something? Let's see. Alright, it's maybe a Jeep. I have seen this goofball handle before and I didn't like it. In the front seat, yeah. So you kind of reach around and pull on it. And on the rear door, pull on the door panel to the left of the pull handle. Pull down on the release cord and the door opens. That's even worse. You're basically deconstructing the door handle to get out. It doesn't say which one it is. Let me copy this image. Go over to TinEye or Google Lens and figure out whose handle it is. Let's do TinEye. Because I hate resetting the Google image search. It's thinking. It's thinking way too long on this. 0 matches. I had inclined to go to Google first, and that was right. Alright, so image search, please. Let's do a little paste action. Alright. Oh, this is the Rivian. The Gen 2 R1 door handles mechanical. No. Alright, but that just makes it an EV versus gas thing, which is not the case. A lot of other cars are going to this. Even ones that appear to have mechanical handles, they actually don't. Like the Model S rear doors, they the old ones anyway, they looked like mechanical handles. They pulled on them and they weren't. Whereas the fronts were, the first half pull was electric, and then in a panic you pull all the way and they come loose and then you push out. The rears didn't work that way. It looks like the reason that all these companies are doing it this way is to make sure that you have an emergency exit, but that you also have the child locks. Because if when you haven't crashed, a kid can just get out even though you've locked the handles, and that's a problem. But at the same time, if you have locked the handles and there's somebody back there with the kids, it would make it easier if they could just let it themselves out without having to wait on a Good Samaritan or bust a window or anything like that. It's a delicate balance, and somebody made the contention that, well, what would you do on Model X? How are you going to teach your child to open it? I can teach her how to open it right now, but if she's in the baby seat, she's not getting out because it's designed that she can't get herself out yet. So I guess I can wait a few more weeks before getting the straps put on my X. So for there to be 3 kids, they could have all been in the rear seat. It doesn't say there were 5 kids in the car, but it doesn't. I don't know. It seems like a big ado about nothing. Oh, that post is removed. Either they blocked me or let's see. Every other case of high-speed car versus wall ends up with fire. Fire not the only variation. So the only variation is if there were no seatbelts. It's strange that there is a massive lacking source links in OP's post. Is that to avoid being able to make money because external links cause a negative result? Maybe. So I don't know who was between us because obviously Christian didn't block me. Let me try to reply. Who is in here? This guy. Radby. maybe he could have blocked me, but it shouldn't allow me to pick him as a person to reply to at that point. So more than likely the post was deleted, but it doesn't say that. And yes, I'm getting off on a tangent, but we'll get back onto the list in just a moment. So if it doesn't say I'm blocked, then it would be that he just deleted the post, whatever it was. While that loads, I will get the next story ready. Oh, this is a multiple one. All right. So I'm not blocked. So he deleted the post, whatever he put in there. Here we've got the city of Irvine has switched to electric street sweepers. I can't paste and go with that? Seriously? Copy link. Paste and go. Let's see. I've got stuff going on about the recent deaths in the families. Okay. I can open them later. So the city of Irvine cleans up while it greens up with the first electric street sweeper. It's amazing how slow the display has gotten. That's weird. Oh, I said that I would come through here and do this, and then did not. So some folks might think that this is an old show. It's not. I was going to do it before going live, but it would take longer to fix it, because I would have to change screens. So there, December 8th. This looks really cool to me. I have seen some electric street sweepers before. I don't know if they were hybrids or what the deal was, but Irvine's got theirs now, and this is cool. Also, for those that run early in the morning, all you'll hear is the vacuum and the shh, rather than also the thrum of an engine, which could make the difference in a good night's sleep, or oh my goodness, I'm up early for work situation. All right, let's see. Sorry. EV was chosen not just for its quiet zero-emission operation, but because of its compact cab size, compact cab forward controls give it superior maneuverability compared to truck-based alternatives, making it an ideal street sweeping solution for municipalities and towns with tight alleyways and corners. There we go. It reminds me of that look inside the New York City street sweeper situation. That was pretty informative. Oh wow, that's a good use of space right there. Trucks don't have airbags, so you can use that space for your dashboard. The question is that fixed like a French car, or does it spin around while you're turning? Because if it spins around, then the city has to be up on their alignments, because if it's doing this to go straight, which is usually the way it goes for some reason, or if it's doing this, which is less common, that's annoying if the speedometer is just always cocked because of the alignment. But it looks, based on the way these attach, it looks like it may be fixed. And then one of them will be like that old Citroen where it just rotates around the screen. That's kind of cool. Street sweeping width of 10.5 feet, can haul 530 gallons of waste in its onboard container, and the 75 over 3 kilowatt hour battery provides enough power to effectively sweep up to 42,000 square meters, over 450,000 square feet, or 10 acres of land on a charge. Interesting. That's cool. It's got filters for PM 2.5, which is important because one of my biggest gripes about the leaf blowers, aside from that everyone insists on using gas ones, is that with the PM 2.5 and other particles you find on the ground, like pet waste, etc., they put all that back in the air. But a street sweeper is a little different. It's more of a vacuum than a jet of air. But without proper filtration, again, all that jazz ends up in the air. But with a good filter, not necessarily so. I didn't see the comment section up there, so let's see. Add another industrial commercial EV solution. It happens. It's like every time I climb aboard my electric riding mower, I can hear the other neighbors' ice riders and be reminded of the benefits and savings. I hope the bikeway users appreciate EV. Made in Italy. Good thing the city bought it now. In a couple weeks, it could be more expensive. True. That's right, I gotta call my grandmother. I'll do that after this. This wasn't on plan, but I'm now distracted by it. We're going together. It's spinning. Honda just secured enough battery capacity to put 1 million EVs on the road. Dated today. So no wonder I hadn't seen it. I didn't check the news this morning, so who knows what came out today. Like Honda getting enough battery to... This one in the center. I don't know. Is it a mobile bed? Because this is a car proportion. And this is a crossover proportion. The car on the right and the crossover on the left. Unless all the batteries are in the rear, the floor would be too high for a human to fit in that, in a seated position. Because you've got these other Honda crossovers on the wings to really show it to you. But let's stick with what's actually in the article. So Cattle is going to give them 123 gigawatt hours of batteries to power the Honda EVs. There you go. They initially signed a strategic partnership for batteries in 2019, which we spoke about. As part of the agreement, Honda will receive a supply of around 56 gigawatt hours of lithium-ion batteries before 2027. And now, the Japanese automakers have been slow, yes, to embrace fully electric transportation. To compensate for lost time, Honda has primarily worked with others that have established technology. For example, the Honda Prologue, which is doing quite well over here in the States. And I guess the EN series is going to be the first in China to get some of these batteries. It doesn't look bad. And this is the notion why that battery supply needs to be conserved with the use of PHEVs instead of BEVs is a Toyota red herring. Yeah, Toyota, that's bull, and everybody can see it. Oh, we need to save these batteries for Priuses. No, you don't. No, you don't. You just need to put in an order for a big enough set of batteries to electrify your fleet. And somebody will make it for you, just like Honda has found out with Cattle here. The automakers simply need to put the orders in so their supply chains can build things out. Yep. This new Honda and Cattle agreement for batteries being supplied in 2024 is less than 2 years away. My wife is watching some like ghost story crap, and they have this thing they do where they listen to a radio on static because you can hear the ghosts or whatever, and I am hearing it, so that means you might hear it. I'm gonna go shut my door. It's already low enough that if I reached in and turned down the volume on the TV, that would be super rude. Let's see. Can Honda overcome the odds and sell 800,000 EVs by the end of the decade, or will it be too little too late? Brr. China accounted for over 56% of the global EV sales in the first half of the year. Yeah. The EV makers like BYD, NIO, and XPeng expanding their sales and production quickly. Either way, it's encouraging to see Honda digging deeper into EVs by building out other... I think what's happening here is Honda seeing that their rebadge of the Chevy is doing so well that they could stand to make more profits if they do a real one on their own. So why not? And why not start in China? Because there's a lot of customers there, and you don't have to worry about constantly shifting politics to figure out if you'll be making a profit or fighting some nonsense. China needs them, wants them, and isn't mercurial. Or I guess that's not entirely true to say they're not mercurial, but they won't be mercurial in this. Shifting winds and all that. So, let's move on to the next thing before I say something political that gets me in trouble. Yes. We have the holiday update over at Tesla. So let's click on this. Hope it opens in the right window and see what happens. It did. So, now we can close that one. We don't need it anymore. We can wait for it to spin some more. I'm not having any troubles with resources. I don't know why everything is so slow today. I restarted yesterday, day before, so I didn't restart again. Alright, so here's what's coming up in 2024 holiday update. If you've got the right version of Apple Watch, you got the Apple Watch update right there. It was showing what it could show for a while, and then there was some stuff it couldn't show until your car was up to date, and Tesla did a micro update, and now it doesn't show anything except for, hey, your car needs an update, until you get the holiday update. So, there's this. You can save dashcam and Sentry Mode clips to your phone if you don't have a legacy. You can watch dashcam and Sentry Mode clips from the Tesla app and save them to your phone to edit or share. Which, as Patrick mentioned, will be nice for not having people have videoed the screen when they share it. Auto shift between drive and reversed on stockless Model 3s is now a thing. I had a chance to experience it on the X Plaid that we had for loaner. I like that. Elon had said we would all get it, but Elon says a lot of stuff, so clearly, the way I just phrased all that, we don't have it. Why is this work page on? It doesn't need to be. It also works during multi-point maneuvers like a K-turn or a weird U-turn. Sirius XM is now available for Model 3, Y, and Cybertruck. So these cars did not ship with a XM radio and tuner like Model X did, or like Model S with the premium sound did. So now you've got it if you like curated music and radio. So let's just say that they didn't give us the free trial on ours because that just wasn't how Tesla worked back then. And eventually they did give us a free trial and I turned it back off. And then they gave us the ability to pick our radio sources. And I turned it off again. I don't mind curation, I don't like the way that service does it anymore. It's very old school, like FM, AM radio style. There's a lot of them, I'll give you that, but if that's what you're into, I'm not, it just wasn't for me. This one is something that's going to be nice, and I think that it should be easy enough to get to all the cars, which means that my car won't get it, but we'll see.
set your arrival energy at destination. You can now set a preferred battery charge for charge level for when you arrive at your destination. So like when I go to my sister's, one of my sister's houses, it's in a charging desert. The other sister, she's like 2 minutes from a supercharger. So I'll get there, and the car wants to get there at like 5%, which normally wouldn't be a problem. But I don't park in the red, so I'll stay a little extra at the last supercharger to get it to show up in the yellow. And so for Thanksgiving, we did that. Showed up at like 18%, which is in the yellow. And when we finished the Thanksgiving celebrations, I got out to the car. It was at 5%. The car can't do any of that automated stuff like cabin overheat protection or Sentry mode or any of that while it's under 20%. So what likely happened was a calibration. Also got colder, so well, not like frozen cold to the point where I have a portion of the battery locked out, just cold enough that the batteries weren't as energetic, and that could have had something to do with it as well. So we arrived at the charger. It was telling us negative 3%. We got there with negative 1%. It said 0, but and we had used some of the reserve, so it took a minute to rebuild the reserve and then to get to charging at a normal-ish speed, because the charger was a good bit away. Let's see. So now you can say, hey, I need to get there with. So it looks like I'd be setting. I'd probably set 20%, not 20, 25% is probably what I would set, because that's plenty. It allows Sentry mode and all that to keep running, which also means that the calibration won't be as sharp. This one is going to be nice, and hopefully we all get it. We got a lot of navigation updates, so I think we will. Search along a route with estimated detour times, so you can look for stuff that's near your route. When navigating, search results are now filtered to show options along your route and estimated detour times. So I like to, if we're going to do fast food on the way, I like to do Taco Bell because it's veggie friendly and all that. So you put a Taco Bell and say, this is not along your route. This is along your route, but it's going to be a 10-minute detour. Okay. Another thing I like to do is like maybe we'll look at a museum or something on the way, and like, where's the nearest one of these? And it'll tell you if it's worth trying to go visit. This one we've confirmed is only on the new Ryzen chip cars, so most of us need not apply. But if you've got a new Model Y or Model 3, or if you have a Cybertruck or a new Palladium, you can view the precipitation on the map at your destination. So it'll tell you with a live view with the radar if it's gonna be raining and how bad. That is I believe a premium functionality. You'll need the premium package to use it. Marcus says, yes, I love the new feature where you want to set how much battery charge level you want to arrive with. Yes, I agree. I totally agree. That'll be fun. The next one we've got is, I really like this one, rear cross traffic alert. When in reverse, your vehicle will alert you if it detects pedestrians or a vehicle crossing behind you. An audible warning will also play if a potential collision is detected. And here, I'm hoping is not what I call the mouse farts. The current collision warning, when you have the car like on the highway or something, and you go to make a move, and the car thinks you're going to collide with somebody, it says meep, meep, meep. And it's so high-pitched and light. I call it mouse farts, because it's barely there. It does have the red lights and stuff, and it lets you know. And this, I suspect, will be similar to that, but in reverse, because the images they show us, it looks like what the newer cars do when you've got something going on in your blind spot. And I hope this comes to all the cars, even if they don't show us a picture of what's happening. Cybertruck custom wraps and license plate customization. So in China, you can customize your license plate, and just recently, in an update after this one, if your license plate restricts you from traveling on certain roads, it will either tell you or not include them in destinations along or routes to destinations. So that if your license plate is number 7, High Voltage Performance and Racing Team donated through Super Chat. Thank you very much, Marcus. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. So in the U.S., we don't really have any license plate restrictions like that, so it won't do anything but show you what your license plate says, and you can get your wraps on here. And Tesla has recently said that this is coming to the other models, which is fun. When you look at how many people have wrapped their cars into something else. The Cybertruck rear camera improvements. So the rear camera feed is now larger, and you can pinch and zoom in and out, which will be helpful, especially if you're using it to link up with the trailer. Tune-in radio as a new interface, as it's still completely free, and no setup is needed. Cybertruck rear arcade. So now you can pipe in the arcade to the rear screen only on Cybertruck while driving. Cybertruck has its own Santa mode. Look at that. It looks like a Cybertruck, just like they did with the Model 3, where you got the convertible Santa, which is kind of fun. You can now schedule the light show on the cars with the new version light show from the Tesla app. Remotely schedule your light show from the Tesla app, including the 2 new light shows for the 2024 update. Boomerang Fu is a new game. I don't know which cars are going to get this. The games have always been scattershot for which cars it works with and which ones it doesn't. I don't think that they're going to do any more games that require GPUs, because they don't do them anymore. Fart on contact. So prank your friends with each new bum detection. So now, instead of you having to push the button or turn signal or honk or stuff like that, it's a real whoopee cushion now. They sit in the seats and it'll make noise. That's childish but fun. You can adjust the passenger seat from the front controls. I don't know what cars this is going to be on. A gentleman demonstrated it with his Model 3, like classic Model 3. But the Model X with the power middle row has had a little bit of the ability to do this in the past, and there's nothing really stopping them from doing this now, which means the legacy Model X will probably not have this. Or maybe everybody gets it. I don't know. We'll find out. But you can fully slide the front seat back and forth now without having to reach all the way over and deal with the switches. Maintenance summary. You can review and track your maintenance from your vehicle's touchscreen. That's nice. This also allows you to adjust the position of the unoccupied passenger seat, including second row seats. So for sure this will be the new X Plaid, but I don't know about the other X's that have the power second row. Like I said, it's been arbitrary what they skip out on the portrait screen. High Voltage, Dr. High Voltage, and I are having discussions about what technical reasons some of these might be for, even though Tesla just doesn't even address it at all. Like the link speed between the MCU and the FSD computer, for instance, could be why they don't give us the live Sentry View or the version of Actually Smart Summon that will have the full display of the cameras. We'll see what happens. These aren't insurmountable problems, but given that numbers for legacies are in the hundreds of thousands versus the millions of new cars, they might get to us, they might not. The consensus in that thread has been that it's dumbfounding that they don't have a base OS that's just very compatible, and they're just adding modules on top of it. instead of the way they're doing it now. Marcus, does White Ghost have MCU 1 or MCU 2? I know it shipped with MCU 1 if I'm not mistaken, but that doesn't mean that you didn't upgrade it. The MCU 1 holdbacks make sense because that processor was overtaxed. And the MCU 2 generally isn't overtaxed, but he pointed out that that it might only be a dual core. It might not be a quad core like all the other Atoms. And not only is it a dual core, it's over 10 years old today, which, yeah. The Ryzen is definitely at least a quad core, and it's probably only about 4 to 6 years old, rather than the monstrosity that we've got in the Intel. This stack thing behind me here, it's running probably the same Ryzen. Maybe not the same exact binning for speed and everything. He also pointed out that on the water-cooled cars, they might be slightly overclocked, which is something that they would not be able to do on the full legacies because they're air-cooled. And if they're running an overclock, that could allow them to do more, which makes sense, than the legacies. Alright, so the tracking and the maintenance, that's cool. Other minor updates, such as rear screen remote, now allows video playback controls in drive. I'm not sure what's new here. I experimented a bit with the rear screen controls because obviously my baby in the seat can't reach the screen, and I was able to surf YouTube on the front screen, controlling the rear, but I was listening to a book, so I didn't actually hit play. So maybe that's the difference, is that you can actually surf around the video for them, but actually using it to start videos and such is not new. Interesting. And by the time I get a car with a rear screen, this will be old news. Even if it's nose loaner. Find nearby parking at your destination at any point of interest. That's pretty fun. When reversing, music volume can automatically lower to reduce distractions. And as Patrick and I discussed, that is a real phenomenon. You may have seen folks in your family blasting the music, and then it's time to parallel park, and they turn it down first. It's a real thing. It gives you more bandwidth to focus on other stuff. Navigation will dynamically route around road closures. I like that, instead of having to get there and figure it out. Sentry mode, mobile app notifications if door handle is pulled. That is nice. I think that might also be a Ryzen only thing for some reason. At the very least, if it's not that, it's not a legacy thing, because Darren was complaining about that. The energy app consumption page for the Model S, X, and Cybertruck, as it exists now. I didn't notice it missing on the Plaid, but I think it might be like the live consumption, what I called the electronic tack on the Volt. Vehicles without premium connectivity can now see traffic on their navigation route. Not the weather, but you can see the traffic. Which is a nice touch. It was always weird that they didn't put that in there, but the vehicle still considered it. So now you'll know why your car is making weird choices. It's because there's traffic. Assuming that you didn't already have premium. When navigating to a supercharger upon arrival, you'll be notified on the touchscreen of any stalls that are out of service. And if you have FSD version 13, it will park at the superchargers that are not broken. Is it just for fancy models? fancy new models, or can legacy cars get some too? Tesla holiday update coming soon. Chansu by Yan, always pushing his Tesla code. Use mine. Lots of great updates. Thank you. So excited to see the weather overlay. I'm very excited for the watch. Oh, and the watch will also be a phone key. And hopefully the Google Watches will be included. Thanks for making Apple's CarPlay look obsolete. There's a reason that they and Rivian and General Motors and others don't use it. Sometimes the reason is that they're being cheap. But other times, it's because their stuff is actually better. Sometimes. I don't know what GM's rocking these days, but they weren't always the greatest at doing these things. Fart on contact, she thinks that's funny. Especially the whoopee cushions. Well, I was happy with not having an Apple Watch at all until this. But now, guys. So I was contemplating if it would be worth having an Apple Watch connected to my iPad with cellular, and then just keeping my Android phone, because I'm not a fan of using the iPhone. I don't get the way that it functions. And I don't want to rebuy all of my apps again. And I like free and demo apps, and they don't have many of them. Or if they do, it's like a whole separate app that you gotta get. I don't know why they don't have trials. Windows Phone had them over 10 years ago now. I miss Windows Phone. What was a jam-packed update? Just tried the phone watch. Love it. All right, excellent. So Marcus has used it and likes it. White Ghost had upgraded to MCU2 and love it so much in that model. The 2013 model. Yeah, so Marcus is seeing what you can and cannot upgrade, and some of it on that particular one would be because the old processor just couldn't do it. Either the storage couldn't keep up, or the processor couldn't keep up. But the new one, it's running the same stuff as the 2017 Model 3. Which my complaint has always been those folks who bought a 2021 Model S, Model X, right before the changeover. They had their car for a month before. They just weren't getting stuff. Being told, did you have a legacy car? And this isn't new to Tesla. We've seen cases where your car is in transit and becomes obsolete, like with the AP1. Release the D. So the dual motor cars and an AP1, your car was in transit. They, hey, come pick up your Model S, and you're like, I don't want that. I don't want that. Or worse, you get it to the point where you can't refuse it, and they release something. It's just the way that it works with them, but some of them just seem arbitrary. Some of them have legitimate reasons, as Dr. Ibolge and I were talking about, but some of them are just like, you were trying to squeeze me into getting a new car. I don't change them like shoes. Alright, Brandon says, will this be bundled with FSD 13.2? That would be an awesome combo. It could be. Huge update, can't wait. Weather on screen is greatly appreciated. How about avoid highway button? That actually is a thing, and it's coming. I just don't think it's part of the holiday update. I wonder why Bird's Eye View hasn't been implemented yet. Because we don't have the cameras for that. The Bird's Eye View requires a different arrangement of cameras. And any nice, Chief. Though, they could do something similar to Bird's Eye. And they totally did with the new view, like the new parking view, the new blob view, all that, the fog. But they could combine that with video, and then There'll just be some portions that are just gray all the time, but they could like desaturate it and whatever, and you could see they could make it work. So let's go on to the next thing. We've got an update from Tyler Corsair of TeslaScope. We were talking last week about the Tesla's new API pricing, where it's going to make it so that it is super expensive for these services like TeslaScope, TeslaFi, Tessie, the one by Ben Sullins, and all the others will be too expensive to continue to operate. Or you could be looking at something like $40 or $50 a month for your stats, if not 80, depending on how much you drive. And I came up with some stuff. So let's take a look here. Tesla's terms for developers. So he's replying to, I think I put this on air last time. I said, is there any chance of us inputting our own API keys and having the service act on our behalf for the monthly $10 that we get for free from Tesla? With like a pause or a cap of, say, don't go over $20 a month, and it's still using their services. Worse, with a legacy car, how much worse is it? Tesla's terms for developers essentially prohibits the utilization or accepting of personal tokens on commercial products or services. This would solve a lot, if not the majority of the concerns, but it also opens up a potential for abuse or harm. If a developer does not set safe limits and you've added a payment method, this could result in unexpected charges with little recourse. Fair enough. Thus, it's not ideal for, and unlikely for most developers to have a solution like this. While we're hoping that this will change, legacy vehicles will be initially barred by most third-party services, as it would cost $25 to $60 a month because they can't use fleet telemetry. And I don't have an extra $60 a month for tracking my car stats per service. And then I can go on complaining about Tesla leaving us in the dust for no reason. But then I took it back to another level and made another proposal. I put it on a different branch, that way he wouldn't think I was coming back to gripe about the legacies. So pardon the long post, I got excited. Tyler, I've got another idea. What if we ran the API locally and fed our inputs processed through something like Docker, a Docker container at home, so like on a box like this back here, or on a hosting provider, like so you rent some space on somebody else's server, to your service. That way your platform could process the data as a stream or in bursts, similar to how the import from competitors feature works. So on TeslaScope and some of the others, you can actually import your data from the other Tesla trackers. That way you can have all your history with you, which, if you were already collecting the data as a data nerd in the first place, you might want it all in one place. So I suggested using that functionality for this. Since it would primarily act as a relay, folks could theoretically run it on something as lightweight as a Raspberry Pi. And then I went off on a tangent. If someone uses an actual Pi, they could even pair it with a large battery bank and an OBD2 adapter to read your feed completely raw in real time. So something like one of these, just a big portable battery bank. I think it's the maximum airplane size. And it charges fast on USB-C. So while you're driving around, it would be refilling. And when you're not, especially in those cars now that turn off all their ports, like the Model Y and the new S and X, you don't lose connectivity. And then since all these Pis have well, not all these Pis, but all the new Pis have Wi-Fi, you could have it push the data into either directly to them or into your compute device that we talked about previously in this letter. I realize this isn't a zero effort solution, and it depends on how compatible a direct feed like this would be with your implementation of the official API. Would implementing something like this be as simple as filtering the data on your end, or are we talking a month or two of solid a month or more of solid development work to make it viable. If a solution like either of these, the relay with customers interacting with Tesla's API on their own, or a live caching mobile logging node, were implemented, you'd need to guide us on how to configure these worker nodes to ensure that we're pulling only the necessary data to keep everything in your current formats. And more importantly, to avoid any surprise billing for the relay option. Tesla's API usage is under our control in that case, sure. But we've seen how some folks in the community can overdo things and be a bit abrasive. So there I'm saying somebody checks all of the boxes for all the data points, and Tesla Spy, Tesla Scope, all of them, throws half of it out because they don't use it. And then the guy gets a bill for $200 and then wants to blame them. You guys got me a $200 bill. No, we didn't tell you to give us your tire pressure every mile per hour. Not at all. The other thing there is, since you are deploying a file to the car for the Fleet API, they would need to either tell you how to set up your file or give you the file to send to the car. Okay, where were we? To avoid any surprise bill for the relay option. I'd hate for anyone to blame you if Tesla slaps them with a $100 bill for pulling the fire hose instead of the essentials like X, Y, and Z. Or if someone with an unlimited hotspot starts setting parameters that you never planned to track. So it may not be a case of somebody grumbling on them. It may be they overload the service by sending too much data back, which would also suck. It'd be easy enough for them to turn it down, but why waste the resources? So what are your thoughts on either solution? Us feeding Scope, Tesla Scope, as an aggregator and processor, or running some kind of live node and sending curated data your way. One more tangent on my tangent. I know you and the other services like Fi, Tessie, and etc. talk and differentiate yourselves. But what if you all collaborated on an open source logger module idea? Imagine parking your car, and then your device seamlessly copies the feed to Tesla Scope, Fi, Tessie, and other platforms. This could even work for Rivian and other manufacturers when they inevitably adopt similar pricing schemes, whether by accident or by design, with an equally stiff fee structure. A collaborative effort could reduce the cost for users, save time for developers, and preserve features that we've all come to rely on. I'd also like to point out that a few years ago, there was a Home Assistant solution for local Tesla API logging. While it wasn't as polished or as robust as Tesla Scope, perhaps some of their work is open source and could be built upon. If this idea gains traction, I would gladly offer my spare Pi and accessories for beta testing. I'd be happy to test configurations, log data from my OBD2 connector, and report on data cache or upload behavior when parked, particularly when for users who prefer to avoid using hotspots or consuming significant mobile data. In the first draft, I put that I would also use my hotspot and mobile data, but that came out in the edits. Oh well, that's something I'd consider, and he'd bring it up. Hey, can you do live? I said, yeah. Finally, if a multi-platform approach works, the user would still have to choose their favorite service for certain features, such as vehicle commands. Like right now, you can preheat your car and all that stuff if you don't want to use the Tesla app, or if you want to have that happen on a trigger. Like, hey, if it's going to be this degrees outside and it's a work day on my calendar, go ahead and preheat the car. Or if I'm about to leave work, according to my calendar, on these days and it's over 100 degrees outside, run the air conditioner. If it's only 90 degrees, run the run just the fan, or open the windows. And Tesla's charging a lot more for that. And so back to the letter. They'd have to choose a favorite service for those features. paying Tesla's extra charges. So you'd have to pick if you have more than one. If you have Tesla Fi, Tesla Scope, Tessie, like I do. I've got another one, but there's like 10 of these that are popular. If you still got all of them and you're doing this node thing, you'd still have to say which one is going to run the vehicle commands, unless you want to pay extra for Tesla for all that. And nobody, after doing this, would pay Tesla extra for that. On all the services, you'd have to pick one. And so I'm pointing that out that, hey, don't forget that thing exists. People will want it. All right, so pick a service. However, with this setup, you could offer something like a classic or an OG plan where users can keep multiple cars and detailed insights. So on Tesla Fi, you had to pay per car regardless. On Tesla Scope and Tessie, you get unlimited cars on your account. I say unlimited, there's probably a limit, but practically for normal people, you might have, 1 to 6 cars? And it works. And 6 cars, I realize, is a really large family. or a car collector like our Marcus, our friend car collector there. He has a couple Teslas on there, and let's see. Let me scroll this because I keep going back and reading stuff I've already finished. Offer a classic or OG plan where users keep multiple cars and detailed insights plus a live commands add-on. Or, alternatively, they could stick to Tesla's new model and pay $80 a month to cover your costs and a profit. This could help your loyal users stay on board while allowing flexibility in adapting to Tesla's new pricing charges. Obviously, all of us want Tesla just to pick a reasonable price first, but we'll see what happens. One last feature idea you could sell, predictive insights and maintenance reminders. If you have access to the raw data or via a remote node, you could track trends like, hey, Module 3 is out of trend with the fleet and overall, or with its peers and the fleet overall. So, like in my case, I had 2 modules go high voltage in a bad way, and one module go under voltage. So that's why the car killed my battery, because it could compensate for a couple of high cells, and it could compensate for a couple of low cells. It couldn't do both. There was no effective way to work around that. So it said, nah, we're not going to start a fire here. Get a tow to Tesla. Would have been nice if it happened like the S did and just said, hey, drive me to Tesla and we'll take care of this. That wasn't the case with this X. Let's see. Oh yeah, so noticing trends with the battery, check it out before your warranty cut off, or you get an email, hey, Tesla Scope here, your right rear tire is not trending with the others. It's not reaching the same pressures or drops or it drops more when it's cold. You might want to check for something like a nail or a bent rim. Because if you're getting the raw data from the car, this is something you can find out readily. So you replied back. The concept of hosting a local instance of Tesla Scope Lite that primarily records your data and can optionally stream it to Tesla Scope has been on my mind for a while, and why I started this repository. That essentially accomplished what some of the goals you had communicated, notably the interchangeability of data between the local and live service. However, some concerns immediately became apparent, such as data integrity, which would require substantially more filtering and processing to prevent malicious actors and manipulated data. Despite that, still something I'd happily consider as long as it doesn't violate any of Tesla's new developer terms. Altogether, it would still take a solid month or 2, as you've said, but it would be open source, so more than happy to accept contributions, especially as it can work separately from the live service. I think that'll be fun to help work with, for those of you that are developers out there. Well, hobbyists like me, tinkerers. As for partnering with the other open source solutions, loggers like TeslaMate, and I don't know why he puts it in stars like that. Either they have a Twitter situation, or maybe they don't like being tagged. surely it's not that he has a problem putting his competitors' names in there, because we talk about them all the time, either directly or indirectly. They don't currently have support for streaming APIs besides the My Tesla Mate, so they equally need their time to transition. This sentiment pretty much applies to all the existing approaches, including Home Assistant. I'm guessing that was a autocorrect, changed it back from Home Assistant to Home Assistants, which are expected to see some impacts from the fleet API costs. As he points out, the SNX are going to, the legacies are just, they can't get the new solution, so it's going to cost you more than the $10 Tesla allows, even if you wanted to just roll your own. And that's before we get to the cars that do have the cheaper option here. From the fleet API costs. As for the use of in-vehicle devices such as CAN bus data receiving, this is being actively explored, and I am awaiting confirmation from Tesla on whether this would conflict with their developer terms. If not, then there are many companies who have mutual interest in deep integrations with Tesla Scope for making data more available at a customer's fingertips. I'm very excited for that possibility. There is a lot of solutions to explore, but the primary focus right now is trying to push for changes to the pricing of the streaming signals. This alone will resolve countless roadblocks for developers and apps like Tesla Scope. As for the feature idea, that is in the works and already planned. So, and I'm not reading a DM here. This is a public message. As planned. Assuming no changes are made to the fleet API pricing, Tesla Scope will have 2 tiers for the vehicles to subscribe to. Plus at $3.99, a $1 increase per month for 80% of our members, and $5.99 for Pro, which has many more advanced features and some intended for business owners. And I will have to work something out with him for my legacy, as well as, the ability to keep having loaners just pop in and out as I get them. Despite the subscription plan price increases, I will start making slightly more revenue than before, about 26 cents less for Plus, but about $1.20 more for Pro, hoping that the majority of our members will be okay with the slight price increase, but very thankful for the understanding for those who may not want to. And so, if you have this service or another, or multiples, and you don't want Tesla to push some of them out of business or make these pricing adjustments unworkable for you, put some pressure on Tesla. Hey, these API prices, it's great that you're charging for it, but they need to be in line with reality. You're charging more than Amazon charges for EC2, and you get a whole computer for what Amazon charges, which is less than what Tesla's charging for the data from the car. And on these newer cars, the data is going straight from the car to the server, not through the mothership and around. Because these cars do have a direct internet connection, and they're able to send it straight. And if they don't have premium internet, they will hold it and then send it when they get to Wi-Fi. So literally, the mothership is not involved in this part of it. For my car, you can't take the mothership out because of the way it works. Then he gave me the link to the repository, and then we had a little bit more back and forth. He said that at the time there was not really much in it, but here is the repo. We're looking at oh, I didn't do this. Let me star it and watch it for all activity. This is Vehicle Scope / Tesla Scoped. And at the moment, we got the main, looking at a open source Tesla vehicle polling infrastructure and platform intended for running on your own devices. Tesla Scoped provides a lightweight backend and web-based client for monitoring and recording your vehicle's activity, including driving and charging sessions, software updates, battery health, and more. That battery health is big because you can see what's going on before you have an issue. So like I knew that mine was not trending well. I just didn't know that it would strand me. But the battery didn't know either. It would have probably warned me because the one on the Model S with MCU1 years ago, it also said, "Hey, schedule some service." It didn't just say, "I'm done." Let's see. Easily import and export data interchangeably between Telescope Live Search, Live Service for backup purposes. Core features will be driving and charging sessions with detailed breakdowns, lifetime statistics, software updates history with optional data from the global fleet, locations, effortlessly import and export data to and from Telescope service. Setup: Telescope is powered by Laravel, which requires PHP 8.1 plus Composer and NPM. And then it gets you a little basic install, but like he said, it's not quite wired up to do anything yet. Let's go back to where he says that. Oh, I closed it. There's no back. Oh well. But this is something that's in the works. Alright, so then our friends at Jaguar. They have gone all EV, as promised. However, it says copy nothing. And they've got this. They had the ad campaign, which we touched on. It was something else, and then they released the vehicles, the concepts. It says copy nothing, and here we see it. It rhymes. It rhymes. There's the ad again. Excuse me. And for those wondering about the interior, well, they showed us the interior, but for those wondering about the interior through the door, it's got that French-style steering wheel again. And then this is the Cadillac Celestiq, or Celestiq. People just clown on the shape. I was looking for the one where they compared it to Cruella de Vil's car. I don't know that I saved that in my notes. Somebody said, "Is this a joke?" No joke. Then we see the Cadillac Celestiq is, you can buy it now. I was also thinking this, the Batman car. The Bat gives me Batman Dark Deco vibes. This is a mix between vacuum cleaner and some ill-advised rendering work. Looks like they copied this. Yeah, I don't have the link, but I see no difference. You know what? I actually, since I posted it straight to my feed, we can get there. Hey, look at us. Say hello, everybody. And oh, this was really cool. I don't think I saved it. Spotted Model put a picture of this. Anybody else want this for their car? I'd put my 3P on there so that I could be by it. Somebody else said, no, I'd put my boat and a little bit of water on that. And I said, well, there's a boat down there, so this guy probably would agree with you. Talk about snow tires. This one was from new Grok AI render that this guy did, Ed the Great. And I suggested, well, this would make a better version of the Cyber Suburban. Keep the front like it is. Keep the second row like it is. And then, back to back, either backs touching or backs with a gap so you can recline the two, put in another row. So that way you don't have like the S and the X, the Y and the X, where the third row has to be smaller people than the second row. You can have the same size people in the third row. Use the same doors. Their feet will be facing the rear. The people in the middle row, their feet will be facing forward. And then you still have a massive amount of cargo room that you can use in what was the truck bed. And then further than that, if you make the seats fold flat to the floor, or try to get some way to make them go down, then you've got just like on the Model X, you've got a lot more room to put. Well, on the Model X with 5 seats or the 7 folding seats, you've got a lot more room for non-people usage when you're wanting to go to the hardware store or pick up a TV or something. I don't know. Talked about my Spotify Wrapped. NASA was talking about Jupiter. I'm still salty. This one was fun. Let me turn on the... What do I want to turn on? Let's turn on the virtual cable.
and you can hear me on the MacBook. And can you still hear me? That is so weird. I'm gonna have to keep that on screen. Thank you, Lee. I misunderstood what you said you didn't hear. I thought you said you didn't hear the Cybertruck. Sorry about that. I don't know what I can do to fix this. It fixes the weird dual tone audio coming out from the stunner, but that's not good. And you can hear me on the MacBook. And can you still hear me? That is so weird. I'm gonna have to.
One more tangent.
Okay. So
the other services,
when did I go mute?
Test increase per month. I could be by it.
We were talking about Tesla.
Somebody else said no. I put.
So it looks like I went mute after the suitcase. Yeah, I went mute after the suitcase. I am sorry about that. So I was pointing out the truck nuts, and then I pointed out that they were real. Then we were talking about the Jaguar and how it looks like the Cadillac Celestiq. And then we were talking about Cruella de Vil and the Celestiq. Oh, sorry, the Jaguar. And then we tested the audio and saw that that was working, but not my audio. Thank you again, Lee. Oh my goodness. Thankfully, I didn't get too far without that. Then we talked about the safety scores on the Tesla Model 3 on the underrun test. And in there, I had found a recall on the Porsche Macan for its headlights, which is a real bring it into the dealership. Bring it into the dealer recall, but not a parts required recall. So it sounds like they got to update your headlights manually. And then, as you saw but did not hear, we were talking about the Tesla Model 3 versus the Zeekr, the Neo, and the Xiaomi in the partial underrun test for the semi Mansard bar and the underrun protection for the back of a semi-trailer. And then, at some point in there, I realized that my audio was off. Here we were talking about, I was giving an example of why Smart Summon is actually a safety feature. You didn't hear that either. And I'm going to have to run like 2 microphones or something. But then I got to make sure it doesn't echo for you. Another solution I've got is this computer behind me here. The real one, the big one. I can run this audio through there directly with the cable. And then I could stream the 4K to it so that we can run a higher quality on YouTube and strip it down a little bit for X, because X doesn't want a full 4K. They hate it. That's why it was stuttering those last 2 shows. Not previous 2 shows, but the 2 shows in a row where it was stuttering is because I was feeding it too much data. So we could run that through this computer here because it's got plenty of power. I'll look into that. Right now it's off because it eats a lot of power. It's just as powerful as this Mac, a little bit more, but it uses 8 times the power as the Mac, which is why I let it kind of get fallow in storage while we are moving stuff around. So then the rest of this Tesla update, the apocalypse has arrived in Canada. If you need a moment of silence to yourself, the Model 3 has your back. Friends don't let friends pay for costly maintenance, pass it on. FSC supervised continues to keep you and others safe, people and animals alike. The other day, mine did what it always does when Canada Goose were crossing the road, and it stopped and waited for them to pass. But this time, it showed the mother goose as a human, and it showed all the other geese as a dog and cat as a pet.
I thought it was cute the way the car was interpreting and trying to display what it was seeing to me with the language it had available to use. One, I see these things. Two, there's a mom. Three, they're all the pets. Because they didn't show any of them as little children. They just showed them all, except for the mom, as pets. Wildlife condition. So this one stops for them, versus having a close call like the one prior. And never gets tired or distracted. FSD supervised sees more than you. Excuse me. Speaking of tired. FSD release is rigorously tested, including rare adversarial scenario on closed courses. Here are 16 examples. So we talked about this, about all the ways they test FSD supervised. And then we showed you last week how Omar Fulmar's car backed out from behind a pickup truck to get on the road and start driving. He showed us another example that I didn't put in here where it's boxed in by a UPS truck that's done double parking. And it backs up, and it sees it can get out. So it backs up a little more so it can get around the truck, and then it gets out into traffic after a little bit of stuttering and hesitation. $99 a month for FSD supervised. I think that's going to go up in price. I don't think it'll go up a lot, but I think it will go up in price. Cybertruck celebrated its first birthday. We talk about that over at the Tesla Live Show. And was awarded for being itself. Cybertruck, they gave you an award. The Auto Build and Build Some Tag. They gave them a golden yoke, Squircle. What did I call it? I call it the Woke. They gave him a golden Woke. Because Squircle sounds stupid. And Woke pisses off Elon. They did a demo of the new 22 Degrees of Freedom hand for the Optimus bot. And as if it mattered, they were quickly telling us that it was a teleoperated catch. When it was all about what the hand could do. But I guess they had a bad taste in their mouth from the AI event that people were saying, oh, those Optimuses were remote controlled or whatever. So they got in front of it. Model 3 performance earned Edmund's respect. Charging experience for all EVs using our network continues to get better, including what we saw with the V4 for real. The Tesla charging with the towing. Tap the bolt icon on your screen to review charging options in your neighborhood. Model S Plaid acceleration is so powerful that it even keeps a banana stuck to the seat for a full quarter mile. We saw that from Brooks over at Drag Times. Cybercab is on tour around the world. We even saw a 5-minute presentation from the lead engineer on Cybercab that told us a bunch of stuff. I didn't put that in my notes. I did put this somewhere, but here it is now. Lease buyouts are available, finally, for, I think we talked about it last week is what that was, the Teslas. You no longer are stuck with less options for getting rid of a lease. However, someone found out for us. Mark Benson and one other found out that that not only are the Rivian leases unable to be transferred from one person to another, with this announcement, Tesla made it so you cannot reassign the lease to somebody else. So even though you couldn't buy the lease, if I didn't want to finish this, but my brother did want it, if I was on a Tesla lease, I could sign it over to him and he could make all the payments and call it a day. That is no longer an option for Teslas, just like it never was for the Rivians. But you can buy it, you can sell it, you can trade it, and I don't know when Lisa had this issue, Lisa with the Model X. She got a Cybertruck. Wait, no. Tesla Boomer Mama got a Cybertruck. And I don't know what Lisa's part of this conversation was, but she was there. But Tesla Boomer Mama tried to get out early from the lease using the new options we talked about. I don't know when she got the quote. If it was before this change or after the change. But she had 6 months left in her Tesla lease, and they wanted thousands of dollars. And so she decided she was just going to keep making the regular payments and just add the Cybertruck, is how I interpreted what went down from the thread. So you get most of your options back, but the early program we talked about might not be as aggressive as they implied it is. But also, last month of the year, last month of the quarter, they might actually come up with some decent offers for you, depending on how close you are to the end of your lease. Typically, the legacies, they would look at 3 months to get you in, so 6 months might be just too much for what was going on here. We've also updated the referral program big time, yeah. So if you use my referral code, you get $2,000. I get $1,000 of Tesla credits, and take delivery by 12/31. You get 3 months of FSD supervised and unlimited charging as well. So that's let me put that in the chat here for you guys. Robert says, "Hi, outside on the way home. I was on live stream. Christmas lights, Twitter. Wind damage. Sorry to hear about the wind damage. I did see you were broadcasting, but I didn't know what would happen if I clicked in on it. So let's see. So ts.la https Kacey 1109. So if you are in the market, use that, please. And in Europe, they have changed the referral program. If you refer somebody to buy a Tesla and they take delivery before December 31st, you'll earn an additional 500 euros in Tesla credit and can be redeemed for supercharging, software upgrades, and more. 750 euros total for you, 500 off for them. That's different. You get more than they do. Tesla Nevada hit 1,000 Powerwalls per day. 1,000 Powerwalls produced in a single day. Hot dog, folks. And then they had some community highlights. Zach went from LA to New York City in the Cybertruck. 3,000 miles over the road the last 72 hours. FSD made it across the entire country with only 3 disengagements. That's an average of 1,000 miles between disengagements. Really can't wait for probably V13. For 500% improvement, Elon said 13 will have. We'll see. I drove less than 5 miles the entire time across the country. It was parking lot to parking lot, FSD the whole way, including handling toll booths. It actually slowed down for them and continued on. Yep, it does. My experience with FSD lately has been good, other than this most recent version is really stuttery and and that's just the controls and the fact that it wants to stutter in the middle of being broadside to traffic. Not a good thing. Truck is a beast. Happy I took it on this trip, as the range, comfort, sound system are all top notch. For me, the Cybertruck sound system is good, but the Model X Plaid sound system was better. And I don't know if these folks who say that it's the best didn't sit in it, or if they have different criteria they're evaluating than me. It's better than mine, but the Plaid has double the speakers of mine. I think Cybertruck is the same as mine. As far as number of speakers, obviously not tuning, because it sounds better than mine to me. Alright, so I've learned I need to keep the audio on screen so I don't end up mute again. Supercharger network. Did 3 days of nearly 1,000 miles each. At the end of each day, I wasn't really tired. FSD did all the heavy lifting. Made it through 13 states so far on this trip, with many more to come. Cybertruck is my favorite road tripper ever, and best drive I've ever had across the country. Well, you can reach out to Marcus and tell him thank you. And let's go back. Cybercab reaction average. Oh my goodness, wow. A little Optimus getting to work. So a lot of folks were able to obtain the Optimus figurine. Each time I saw it, it was sold out, so I didn't get one. Wasn't a terrible price either. There he is inside a bamboo. That's a bamboo, isn't it? No, it's not a bamboo. That's somebody else's 3D printer. I guess it could be a Bamboo A1, but it's not the one I've got with the walls. But they haven't even been here 5 minutes and they're drinking my Tesla alcohol. Get them buckled up. See you next month. Hey, I need a referral code. Anybody want to have one? I'm not jumping into that fray. So Sawyer says, going forward, Jaguar will be an all-electric brand. More photos are in the thread below. I think we got enough of the photos of the Jaguar. Yeah, I think we got all those. The new Start FSD Supervised button in V13 is grayed out until you fasten your seatbelt. Huh. Seems that the stunner has kicked in. I don't know. I guess it's listening in as well, but it's not. We're not tapped into it anywhere, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, if you try to start FSD version 13 from the screen on hardware 4 with the one button, you have to have a seatbelt connected first, because if you don't have it buckled, the button is gray and it says fasten seatbelt underneath it. Let's see a picture of that. There was a visual element, that's why I put it in there. I forgot there was a visual element. Then we've got this cute little truck. It's available as a configurator. We'll pull that up next. Not a link to the paragraph. We'll just copy the link. While we wait for X, let's see if Inside EVs has put us on the good server. And we can talk about that Porsche recall. Let's think about it. Yeah, we got it. Set of privacy error. So the Porsche Macan Electric is being recalled because its headlights are too bright. The fix doesn't require any new parts, thankfully, but you'll still need to schedule a service visit. Certain Macan Electric models in the US are being recalled because the headlamps are too bright, or maybe too bright. A visit to the Porsche Service Center will be necessary to fix the problem. The electric Porsche Macan has been on sale in the US for 2 months, and there's already a recall with its name on it. Thankfully, no need for spare parts, and it's not the kind of recall that deals with flapping body panels. That would suck too. However, despite being software related, owners will still need to go to, so it is a bring it into the dealer software update. That's the worst kind. I mean, at least if I bring it to the dealer and they're inspecting stuff or changing parts. But if I'm bringing it in for software update, That's because the headlights are too bright, and the headlight control unit software will need to be reprogrammed to comply with the federal regulation. And that can't be done over the air for some reason. For some reason was my ad-lib. As per the NHTSA, the upper beams on the Macan Electric models aren't calibrated properly and may shine too... Oh, you know what, though? That might be a legit reason to bring it into the store. If they have to recalibrate it, it's going to be a lot easier for them to calibrate them in a central place or with mobile service than it will be for, and I don't think Porsche offers mobile service, than it will be for them to hope that a customer installs the update and then puts the beam in correctly, dials it in the right way. And not to say that the car can't auto-calibrate itself, but then you're also hoping that the customer puts it in a place where it can auto-calibrate itself. And that's just too much, too many variables. So it makes sense to bring it in for this, even if it is something that can be done over the air. I thought they were just too bright. I didn't realize they were also miscalibrated. So let's see. Increase the risk of a crash. Due to software dataset error, the affected vehicles were programmed from the factory after the Economic Commission for... They've got Euro spec headlights instead of US spec headlights. Programmed from the factory after the ECE specs, where US vehicles need to conform to the requirements of the FMVSS. And that still shouldn't be that much of an issue. I mean, yes, it's not compliant, but that sounds like they also probably got the right-hand drive specs, if they can be ability to cause a crash from this. Because these two specs should be somewhat compliant with each other. Not to the point where you get a crash warning. You would just get one saying out of spec, not can cause a crash. Can cause a crash tells me that they got the right-hand drive spec as well. In total, 2941 Porsche Macan electric built between March 15 of 2024 and November 4th of 2024 are affected by the recall. So they've been on sale for a couple months. But these are built in March through November. So some cars on the boat will need this. And I'm guessing that since it has only been on sale for a couple months, that these cars had quite a journey to get here. Cars assembled after November 18th were shipped with the correct headlight software that complies with FMVSS number 108. The fix for the affected EVs is free of charge. It better be. Porsche will notify dealers on December 11th, and owners will be notified on January 24th, 2025. The legacies are so slow with this process. When we talk about Rivian and Lucid and Tesla going through all these processes, it's like weeks between each step, not months between each step. It's ridiculous. The Porsche Macan Electric sold alongside the gas-powered model in the US and Europe. However, the combustion-powered version has been retired due to new cybersecurity regulations. What? Oh, we talked about this. It was something to do with the ECUs and how easy they were to get hacked. And so they just canceled the car instead. New cybersecurity regulations, and not because of tightening emissions regulations. Stateside, the most affordable Macan Electric starts at $75,300, and in traditional Porsche fashion, one could double the price tag relatively easily by going down the very long options list. Yeah, we did a couple of these on the show where we were like, let's see what we can do to a Porsche Taycan, and then, whoa, that's not just a Porsche Taycan. So I wonder if this will also affect the Audi built on the same platform. Don't know. Alright, we're done with that. So what I was talking about while that was loading was if you try to use the FSD One Touch, it will tell you to buckle your seatbelt if you hadn't already done that. And we get that from Darren at Drive Tesla Canada, who got it from Chris Dirty Tesla. And then I was talking about this cute little flat pack truck, which is 41. So no, this isn't the flat pack one. The flat pack one looks like this, but less refined. This is Tello's electric truck. I believe that Telosiv, he is a brand ambassador for them now. So the configurator is open, and it's got a $41,000 base price. Based in Silicon Valley, they're designing an electric truck for the U.S. market. They've got a configurator with design updates and a lower than expected base price. But don't get too excited yet, because production is still many months away. They told us last June about it. There's a lot of wasted space in vehicle design these days, especially trucks, where automakers consider an enormous front hood as an important part of the design, even though it's not. Despite the inherent deadliness of the design decision. That's true, though. Here you'd be able to look and see if somebody's in front of your truck. I like that. You don't get a frunk, do you? You could still get a frunk fold down here, but I doubt it, because your feet are going to be there, the packaging is going to be there. You don't really need a frunk if it's space efficient like this. And we even see that on the Cybertruck, where the frunk is not as big as it could be because the hood is smaller than it could be. And here I am pointing stuff out that you can't see because I'm on the wrong screen. Yeah, so I'm saying that this could be a frunk folding down, perhaps, but it's not necessary. And if the bed is the same size as a Rivian, then this seems like an efficient use of space. I wouldn't mind it being appearing to be wider for more American girthiness, and then the legroom in the back. But other than that, this doesn't look bad. This seems to be like what I've always been asking for, something closer to what we had in the 90s and 70s of a like a Ranger sized B100 sized or B1000 The Ranger, the Sonoma, the C10, or S10, sorry, not C10. The smaller pickups before they started to just grow and grow to take advantage of the EPA and California regulations to keep the lower MPGs, even though they were growing and growing, and keep the higher emissions as well. So under 50K, 41,520. That's 35 if you get the tax credit. If the tax credit survives until they come out. It doesn't look like doesn't mean that they can't pull any moves, but it doesn't look like that the tax credit will go anywhere until possibly 2026. However, it's only guaranteed until the end of this year, given what the new politicians are saying. They may pull some strings to go another way to get rid of it for 2025. But solely on IRS regulations, since they won't be in on January 1st, to have changed it in time, since they come in at the end of January, then, well, even worse than that, if they try to do it through Congress, they don't come in until January 3rd, which is after January 1st. And if they try to do it through executive orders or whatever, that happens on January 20th. So they cannot do it through the IRS. But they, as we saw last time around, they can pull some tricks to make money move around this country. And then your only recourse would be to sue. And, well, they put most of the Supreme Court that's in here in, so if they even chose to take your case, they might still side with the people who did it. So yeah, if you are looking to and need to have the tax credit, the up to $40,000 for heavy commercial trucks like the Tesla Semi, or the up to $7,500 for personal or commercial use vehicles around up to 6,000 pounds or 14,000 pounds, then consult with your financial advisors, your tax people, and if you have the means, get a move on it rather than waiting around to see if 2025 is available to you. I'm waiting to see if Cybertruck will qualify and for my finances to be able to hold it, but I do want a Cybertruck. Robert says 20 other EVs, I'm sure. I was so impressed they quickly put in that charging station. More space and security. Yeah, I like that charging station you showed me the other day. That was pretty cool. It had SEMA Connect chargers, and I forget the brand of who was operating it, and they had pull-through and drive-through spaces, which was cool. Yeah, so back to this little truck. Cute little truck. The reason we were talking about the tax credit is they're not ready yet, and tax credit may or may not be there. 106 kilowatt hour battery for the larger one. That is cool. So 260 mile standard pack, a 350 mile plus long range pack. I wonder if this thing can tow and what it can tow. Because 106 kilowatt hour battery is not a featherweight. So it'll be able to counter some serious push-pull. There are options: 300 horsepower single motor, 500 horsepower dual motor. It's not bad. Half of plaid with two motors. Almost approaching what mine does with the dual motors. The renders reveal some small design updates that Tello has been teasing recently, largely for aerodynamic reasons. And they say that it changed the area around the wheel entry and exit. Some small changes at the front. Neato. Haven't seen a physical prototype with these design changes, and we imagine things might change more before production. Wow, it is slightly bigger than a Mini. And it is definitely smaller than a Taco. But the bed size does appear the same as a current mid-sized truck. I like it. And the cab size also appears to be roughly the same, so you're just cutting off that extra long hood for no reason. All right. So that's that concern of mine based on the perspective they gave us. This could sell well, assuming that it's got the safety and the price is closer to what they say, and it's got the performance. And if it's this big, I think it should still be able to tow. I'm going to do a search on tow after this. The availability of a smaller battery and much lower base price only makes this more compelling. Yes, Americans do have a bigger number, better car disease, and the more you need to cater to that, but Tello already represents that statement to counter the attitude. Top comment, would be great if this actually makes it, but seeing what Tesla went, they and Rivian Lucid, that's a massive uphill battle. I love the concept. The price isn't far off on a Tacoma, especially if you actually get the rear-wheel drive standard battery model. Okay, so let's do a search on towing before moving on. Where am I searching at? I thought it would be in the... I wonder if this thing is broken again. We'll do a find on page from the menu. Not history. I want not favorites. What to find on page. Yes, I know it's Command F, but my commands aren't working for some reason. So we're going to search for tow. Alright, the word tow appears twice. But not in the article. Or the comments. So. Oh wait, maybe. Maybe. Alright, Command F still didn't work. Ah, it did appear in the comments. Thank you so much for this article. I've never heard of this brand, but been longing for a capable EV in North America, legitimate compact footprint. For their YouTube channel and Discord server, they seem to have a very experienced team with a prudent financial plan. Towards profitability in low volumes. No pre-delivery IPO, and using contract manufacturing. Yeah, so they're saying not like those other companies that moved too fast and went out of business. Lordstown. Alright, so nobody talking about towing. Then we've got The Driven is talking about... we mentioned how Fortescue was doing a massive push for EV mining equipment. And The Driven points out that they are also going to build and test the world's most powerful electric fast charger for these things. And they've got us a nice map of CO2 for the last 1,000 years. Okay, so it wasn't 400 parts per million when I was a kid. It is now, though. 424 parts per million, 7-day average. 20 years? So not even just when I was a kid, shoot. It wasn't even 350 when I was in school. Last 20 years. And then I can't select the other option. Oops, that's too small. I can't select the other option, but yeah, so it's... You can't say that we're not doing any of this. If you just look at 20 years, that's us. Yeah, some of the 1,000 years might not be us, but a lot of it is. Anyway, back to this. They're going to build and test the world's most powerful electric fast charger. Last 2 years, it went up 6.5 ppm. Damn. Yeah, so they're putting billions into these electric mining equipment, and they're going to make a 6 megawatt fast charger that will be used for the hundreds of massive 240-ton trucks it has agreed to buy in a landmark $4 billion deal. The 6 megawatt fast charger would be by far the most powerful in the world, so it'd be like 6 of the Tesla megachargers. Well, actually not a full 6, because we're looking at, what, 1.2... Looking at 5 megachargers at once. for this one truck. You'll definitely need some DC-backed power for that, or to be at the power station. I don't even think... No, you'll have to have battery backup for this, because even if you had a direct connection to the power company, they would have to know you're coming to be ready for that kind of load. And this will have to be battery backed. That's the only way it's going to work. 6 megawatts is... that's a lot more than they would expect to be coming on and offline at the drop of a hat. $10 million from the Australian Renewable Energy Agency will support the building, testing, and validation of multiple test units before full production begins late next year. The mention of 6 megawatts fast chargers stunned the EV world when it announced at a mining expo in September, because it's twice as big as the 3 megawatt prototype that had been built, and significantly bigger than any other electric truck charger to date. But these are significantly bigger than any other truck that wants to use them, so that makes sense. Why on earth would we give $10 million to a billion-dollar company? This is a silly idea and a waste of taxpayers' money. It says they were already developing it. Good question. I'm not sure the current incumbents are making a stellar go of the renewable energy transition. Not to diminish the challenge of changing the grid and shifting to EVs, but a lot of obvious mistakes could be avoided. It was a good idea if it materially assists getting the tech to a usable standard and easily accessible to other businesses. Lots of sillier things have had money spent on them, and this is a gift or a loan, or with conditions on the tech. That's a good question. Yeah, I know I already put it for this comment. You took forever to show it. That one's mostly gone, looks like. So, this is cool to see. I will avoid their Australian politics. I've got enough of my own American politics to deal with. The U.S. Joint Energy and Transportation's Q4 2024 update reports an increase of around 12,000 EV charging ports in the last 3 months. Here's the lowdown. So, as Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg tells us, it was not $9 billion for less than 9 stations. Because there are 13 states that have deployed, that's more than 9, and we found that there are 12,000 new charge ports in the last 3 months. 204,000 level 2 and DC fast charging ports in its national network since the Q3 update. Doubled the number of public chargers since the end of 2020, just before the beginning of the current administration, which launched the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program, the NEVI, and it took over the White House. 4 years ago, 38% of the most heavily trafficked corridors had DC fast chargers at least every 50 miles, and now 59.1% of the most heavily trafficked corridors have DC fast chargers at least every 50 miles. And yes, a lot of that is completely private. As for the Q4 NEVI program update, there are 126 public EV charging ports in operation, so that's more than 8 or 9 or whatever they tell us in their rhetoric, in operation across 31 NEVI stations. So that's, again, more than 8 or 9 in 9 states. That's 9. Resulting in an 83% increase in open NEVI ports since last quarter. In quarter 3, there were 69 public charging ports in operation across 17 NEVI stations in 8 states. There's the 8. And it wasn't 8 stations, it was 17, so they were wrong to begin with. Gotta check these people's facts when they try to give you numbers. In the last 3 months, Illinois, North Carolina, Iowa, and District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and Oregon, and Delaware announced their first round awards at various stages. Did it say Florida? I didn't see Florida. No, because Florida we talked about previously. Oh, and Virginia. Florida is playing games. Political games. Sorry to see it. And we also saw where Elon got corrected by Secretary Pete on his own X thread, where he was pushing that 8 stations garbage. And Pete's like, nah. Here's the numbers. Look it up. total of 41 states have now released their first round of solicitations. Of these states, 35 have issued conditional awards or put agreements in place. Over 3,560 fast charging ports across more than 890 stations are now approved. Kentucky has opened its first NEVI program, funded station pictured, and that's where we saw in the top with the ribbon cutting. Hawaii and Maine have opened their second stations. Rhode Island, the first state to be fully built out under the NEVI program. Oh, that's cool. So they opened their round and then did it. Boom, done. Look at that. But they're also small. All 50 states plus Puerto Rico have access to 2 rounds of NEVI funding. Access, but will Florida give it out? If the funds are released to the states before the next administration comes in on the 20th, then it's unlikely the money could be revoked. This man's team has a really good way of finding to claw money back. So get it issued and then get it in the hands of the folks whose job it is to put it in the ground, and then it'll be almost impossible to get back. You're running out of time. Don't be dragging. QuantumScape checks off its last 2024 to-do item, enabling high sample volumes of the first commercial state solid-state battery. They don't sound like Toyota. Toyota's delaying the launch of this next wave of EVs again. From the delay that they already did. New ad for Dodge Charger Daytona EV rips into soulless lame rival. Alright, let's look into that. I wish these figures would distinguish between destination, level 2, 50 kilowatt, and fast chargers. The source breaks it down some. There you go. Agree, to be quite honest, many less affluent people shop at Walmart. Walmart is only putting in only fast chargers 2 miles away from my house in Sichuan City, California. All poor people are supposed to be able to afford electric cars because they will be able to simply buy the hand-me-downs of well-off people. It doesn't help sell used electric cars to poor people if the only new chargers you're putting in are for rich people who can afford the newest cars with the newest charging tech. I'll give you that. Walmart customers are only there for under an hour, so DC chargers make sense. Our supermarkets are now fitting 300 kilowatt chargers for the same reason. They don't have to be expensive. The higher turnover helps keep the price down. Lamppost chargers seem a better bet for those without home charging, but need a lot of use to get the price down. Or to be super cheap. Which technology wins out will depend on where your energy comes from. In the UK, it's from wind, so overnight surplus favors the lampposts. But somewhere with a lot of solar, it's likely to favor DC. Maybe. Don't forget there's batteries. Alright, so moving on, because we just found 3 new stories on top of what we already had scheduled. QuantumScape solid-state battery before Toyota. Here's their 5B sample. I wonder if this is the company we recently discussed with the samples going out, or not. Today, their Cobra separator production process has been developed, delivered, installed, and is ready for initial separator processing. Achievement was the last item on QuantumScape's list of goals for 2024, putting it back on track to produce higher volume samples of a flagship commercial solid-state battery in the QSE5. I think we may have talked about them, but not with the samples, if this is the case. Every few months, solid-state QS graces the public with a progress update. Alright, easier said than done. Yeah, we've talked about it before. 301 watt-hours a kilogram, less than 15-minute fast charge, 800 watt-hours per liter. Not bad. Excuse me, the top comment by Morning Line is just consistent progress from QS. They've been hitting their roadmap for years now. There's certainly competition out there, so we'll see if they can build if they can be first, but they may end up with a better product in the long run. The Alpha 2 samples, the Ramp Raptor process, begin the low volume QSE5 in October. So no, this may have been them we talked about. I don't remember how recently we talked about battery samples. There we go. I look forward to watching them continue. Let's see what Toyota's up to. Delayed again. The promised ultra-efficient next-gen Toyota EV models will not hit the market in 2026 as expected. Wow. Toyota's delaying the launch of its next wave as it introduces new tech that promises to cut costs and speed up production. We're going to save our way into being a market leader. So yeah, this is a different delay than one we talked about recently. They're delaying the upcoming long-range Lexus EVs. Latest to back a major EV initiative. Japan's auto giant is reportedly delaying the start of production as it develops new manufacturing tech. So, if you want a Toyota or Lexus in Norway next year, or in Ethiopia this year, you gotta get a BZ or its clone, because Toyota is gonna wait. After the Japan Auto Show in October, we got a first look at the upcoming models, and both of which were expected to launch in 26. We talked about that, sorta. You have to wait a little longer to see the production models. Looking at mid-27 now. Toyota claims that the high-performance EV batteries provide over 1,000 kilometers of WLTP driving range. We'll see. They'll also include fast charging capabilities, 10% to 80% in 20 minutes. We'll see about that as well, because the current car doesn't do any close to that. The current BZ4X gets 516 kilometers on the WLTP range, and EPA estimated range is up to 236 miles. Up to. So 321 down to 236, and 621, maybe 400 miles. I mean, that would be in line with some of the best that we've seen. Toyota. Customers need a choice of drivetrains. Also Toyota. We aren't going to give our customers a choice. That's how it sounds. That's how it sounds. We talked about this. I remember this chart. Ugh. All right, that's enough airtime for Toyota until they get their crap together. A new ad for Dodge Charger Daytona EV for Sony is a bunch of nostalgic names. Dodge released a new ad for the Charger Daytona that sticks true to the engine revving muscle car roots while ripping the EV rivals as weak, soulless sleep pods. Is it enough to convert muscle car fan base? The new ad aims to flip the script on environmental messages, starting off on a somber note about how Dodge is investing in EVs, not to be trendy, but to save the planet. The narrator switches gears and says that Dodge is really aiming to save everyone from the lame, soulless, weak-looking, self-driving sleep pods that everyone... Alright, I might have to cut this from the replay if they do music, which they probably will. But let's look at this together. Let me get get everything set up again. And then, thanks to Lee's warning, we will check to make sure that my microphone still functions after this. So, virtual cable, and I'm still working. And then we'll unmute the virtual cable. Come. And unmute the virtual cable. Okay, it says it's functioning. Am I still on? Yes, I'm still on. So now, can I rearrange these? I cannot rearrange these. Ugh. Alright, so let's hit play. I'll scroll down, check to see that the audio is coming through, and then I'll come back up and make sure I'm still talking.
We aren't building electric vehicles because it's trendy. We're building them to make a difference, to protect our future and our children's future.
It's looping through my
We're
headphones.
building electric vehicles to save our planet,
But it is
to
responding to me,
save
so
it from all those lame, soulless, weak-looking, self-driving sleep pods everyone else keeps polluting our streets with.
I guess this won't have any automation.
That's why we're doing it.
Alright, that sounds better than what they showed us initially. That sounds better. Still fake as hell, but that's fun. Alright, so I'm gonna mute that. And then hopefully it doesn't mute us. Here we go. Sleep pods. Mute that. Come back. Am I still there? I'm still there. Turn off the cable. Sound. I need to set up some macros for this or something. No, don't put it through there. I don't want to listen to that. Put it in my headphones. Okay. And we're still here. I guess it was a fluke, Lee. I don't know why the audio just went dead after the suitcase thing. I have to keep an eye on it. What do you guys think about that? Hopefully the wake the neighbors loud crap is gone, because I don't want to get awakened by some jerk who thinks he's got a race car. But it's really only kind of close. 3.3 seconds in 0 to 60. I mean, it's not terrible. Not terrible at all, but not the small PP energy that these people be trying to wake people up with. Especially with just 670 horsepower when the Plaid is 1020 and then others are even beyond that. This is going to be another solid option to give people more choices to do stuff with. Starting price of $59,595, and just like with the current Charger, that's going to be the rental car edition, while the $73,000 one is going to be the one that you get the bragging rights with. The only three things that are more lame and weak than this vehicle's price to performance ratio. A Model 3 will smoke this muscle car for a lot less money. Yeah, we talked about this. And that was before the current specials on Model 3 performance even were a thing. Like, that was after they had just raised the price on the Model 3 performance. I believe we did that comparison right here on this show. Robert has a Vauxhall Grand Lad overview we'll take a look at. And Mr. All-Electric Car Lunacy says, where are they going to be made? Dodge? Ontario? So how much is the Dodge Charger Deltona after the tariffs? You're right, we're going to tax our allies, according to the tariff lover. Where's it going to be built? I mean, they've got stuff here to do it. Have they got what it takes to do it in time? I don't know. This will be interesting to watch. All right, can I copy that? Because it's certainly not letting me right-click on it, but it is letting me highlight it. A 7,000-pound SUV will toast this thing in a quarter mile. The Rivian R1S, even though it costs more. That's the Rivian R1S. Don't forget the Plaid Model X, a 6,000-pound CUV, a mommy mobile, a minivan replacement. I drive one. I can talk about it. So my little minivan will continue to dust the Dodge, as it always has, which is sad for the Dodge. But again, more choices is good for everyone. They are talking a little bit much more than their mouth is running bills that their performance can't cash. Receipts, checks. You get where I'm going with that. All right, so this is coming from Robert. Robert says that welcome to Vauxhall. I don't want to mess with this. Let's review all. New Grandlad. I kept reading it as Granddad even in the link that he sent us. So this is the new Opel Vauxhall. Not Opel Vauxhall. The Vauxhall Grandlad. Sorry, 425 pounds per month at 425 initial rental. So this is a lease. It doesn't look bad. Zoom. Oh, they did like a drone, like an FPV drone. Clever. All right, that dashboard doesn't look bad. Not too many buttons. It's got a lot of them, but not too many, like a Cadillac. This is a clever sight. Bold new electric premium. It's got 3 trims, 2 powertrains, 6 colors. How it feels inside. It feels spacious. All right. So we got another option for you there in the UK. I wonder if that was just for show or if it's got power doors like the Model X. Choose your energy, 100% electric. 100 miles in 10 minutes. 80% in 29 minutes. It's a little slower than I expect. Not bad. 425 miles on the WLTP, so what, 290, 300 miles in real world? It's a hybrid. Again, if a hybrid works for you, great, but these manufacturers need to avoid the crutch. So you can get all electric like we saw in the top, or you can get a hybrid. Neato. Alright, so moving on to... so if we do what? Do 100% tariffs on the China cars. What were they proposing for the Mexico and Canada cars? Let's call it $100,000 for that 70,000 model. And so then that really looks bad next to the Model 3. And that's before you get into any of the other performance EVs. We've got, speaking of anti-China tariffs, the Biden admin just put one in on solar panels. How is that our next topic? It is. It's right there in line. Right there in the notebook. I'd show you the notebook, but I've got stuff in there I don't want to share. Because it's become kind of a dumping ground for me. So the U.S. slaps anti-dumping tariffs on Southeast Asian solar panels. New anti-dumping tariffs on panels imported from Southeast Asia, tightening restrictions on Chinese manufacturers accused of using these countries to avoid tariff rules. And that's what I said about China and Mexico. They'll just they'll front whatever it takes to have another outlet for this stuff. More solar panels are installed in the U.S., currently made abroad, around 80%. Solar panel dumping is when a company sells solar panels abroad for less than their cost to make them or below the fair market value. I don't really care what fair market value is if it's not below their cost to make them. I agree it is shady tactics that if it costs you $1 and you sell it for 50 cents, that is wrong. It's not like a sale, like a 3-month sale or something. But if it only costs you 75 cents to make it and you sell it for 76 cents and it costs everybody else $1.20 and they have to sell it for $1.50, that's good business. Assuming that you're not using slave labor or getting any extra boosts from your government. So, that's just me. Friday's announcement marks the second preliminary decision in an ongoing U.S. government investigation, which began after anti-subsidy duties were put in place in October. U.S. Department of Commerce posted on its website that the agency calculated that dumping duties of 21.31% and 271.2%, depending on the company. Yeah, if they had to put 271.2% on top to make it fair, then yeah, that's dumping. If this is just a typo and it's 27.12%, okay. Wow. Either way, almost a third or almost 300%, depending on if that was a typo. Let's look at the comments on this one. It'd be nice to see America making the majority of their solar panels. We tried that 3 times, and each time other countries made it so that our stuff was not profitable. And so then they went out of business. We've got Canadian Solar, we've got a couple others that are still here, but most couldn't compete. It would be nice to see the majority here. If dumping is occurring, the tariffs are the correct move. Yeah, if dumping is occurring. What do we need solar for? Is the world heating up? What? the West agenda to let's talk a good game and blame others. This action will only lead to... because he's saying that why take what's available to us? We don't have a problem. We don't need these. He's being sarcastic. If dumping is occurring, essentially selling at a loss to eliminate competition before jacking up prices, that's the part why we care. Not because we don't want low prices, but if they're trying to squeeze out the competition so that when there is no competition they can raise the prices, then we've got a problem. It's not uncommon for Chinese companies due to heavy government subsidies. Yes. Nobody needs it except for the Chinese government, though one would have to wonder to what end, since China is not exempt from the consequences of climate change. At all. Seems focused on geopolitical clout specifically, but short-sighted view of the bigger picture. In the end, I think it could be to do with their state capitalism system, and that might factor into their central strategies. Subsidies, though steep, could be the most effective way for them and the state to transition domestically. Yeah, and we've seen that where whenever we do shut them out worldwide, or just here, they take the surplus and install them in China, furthering their lead in solar deployment. And I'm hoping that the folks who get the redirects are also getting the dumping prices. Even a small loss abroad, at least the majority of the cost is absorbed, and solar economies of scale decreases per unit count, yes. So it might be subsidies are paying more for their own transition from scratch, get other countries to absorb a lot of the cost, and China gets the panels at an ultra-low price domestically. It gets to pay bargain basement prices for its own transition at state level, and they are by far the biggest greenhouse gas emitter in the world at this point. You're onto some stuff there. Next up, GM Authority says that the EV battery will soon be cheaper to replace than gas engine, according to their report. I can see that. We're getting close. Because the list price on my battery was, what, $19,000 the other day? So that would be a full engine and transmission with labor. And we just keep going. And that's just for the Model X large pack. It was... what did we say, like 12,000 we found out for the Model 3? So 12,000 is right in line with a new engine. All right, folks, we got the Miata. If you have a Miata and need engine repair, would you like to turn it into an EV? Fun to drive EV. Electrogenic is giving Mazda Miata fans an EV conversion with its plug-and-play conversion kit. You're looking at the Mazda MX-5, makes the original model all-electric. This EV conversion kit keeps the soul of the beloved Mazda Miata, but adds more performance and playfulness to a car that's already renowned for being a joy to drive. The MX-5, known by many in North America as the Miata, is a two-door rear-wheel drive roadster introduced by Japanese automaker in 1989. Since then, the Miata has seen 4 design generations and has become the best-selling two-door sports car of all time. Over the past 35 years, they've sold over 1 million units. Production has ceased to make way for a 5th-generation model. Sales continue for the previous versions, and the MX-5 has garnered a loyal fan base of owners who recognize the value and performance of the two-door car. So, Electrogenic has made a plug-and-play kit. We've seen their conversion for 1960 Jaguar E-Type, 1929 Rolls-Royce Phantom 2, the DeLorean DMC-12, and now Mazda Miata. So we're looking at... they say, we're delighted to introduce the latest addition to our world-leading range of plug-and-play EV conversion kits. We've long been intrigued by the concept of a light, well-balanced, rear-wheel drive, electrified modern classic, one that truly delivers when it comes to the old-school thrill of driving. It seems we weren't alone, as we've received a great deal of interest for the idea of an MX-5 conversion over the years. It is exciting to finally reveal our creation to the world, and to give MX-5 fans the chance to electrify one of the most popular cars in sports history. Sports car history, sorry. Let's see. I'm going to have to do some more layout adjustments when I get some time after school, I guess, after work. To enable the Mazda MX-5, Mazda EV conversions, Electrogenic has created a package that is straightforward to install and can be fitted by a trained mechanic in less than a few days. To accomplish this, the MX-5 was 3D scanned, so the EV 42 kilowatt-hour OEM-grade battery could be placed precisely under the hood, where the 1.8-liter four-cylinder engine was. Batteries are also installed in the rear, in place of the fuel tank, but Electrogenic was able to leave the trunk space untouched. That is incredible. So luggage capacity remains the same. Per Electrogenic, the Mazda Miata EV conversion only weighs 100 kilograms or 221 pounds more than the original ICE car. So it's like having a large passenger. A very large passenger. As such, the Mazda Miata's EV weight distribution remains identical, while its power-to-weight ratio has been improved by 21%. Funnily enough, the OG Tesla Roadster was an electrified ICE Lotus, and the Mazda Miata is a loose copy of another Lotus, the Elan. That's kind of cool. Excuse me. The 42 kilowatt-hour pack remains powers an electric motor that now sends 160 kilowatts. 160 horsepower or 120 kilowatts into a single-speed fixed-ratio gearbox, delivering 2,500 newton meters of torque to the Miata's rear wheels. That EV power jumps from 116 horsepower in the original gas model and can propel the all-electric Mazda from 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. It's not bad. Like the original, the converted MX-5 can reach a top speed of 115. I'm betting that was a limit based on like the tires and the rest of the components. So 40 kilowatts, 42 kilowatts, we should expect 100, 120 miles of range new from this before degradation. There we go. Additionally, the Mazda Miata EV conversion delivers 150 plus miles of range in real-world driving, because it is lighter than a regular 40. It can fast charge in 1 hour using a CCS plug. Smart. I was afraid they would leave out the fast charging. So this is still an around town thing for a little bit of fun, but not bad. As with all electrogenic conversions, the Miata's original structure is entirely preserved, nothing is cut or drilled, and the installations are entirely reversible. So if you're afraid of people saying, oh, you ruined it, no, I just made it fun for me to drive. Here's all the stuff in my storage unit if you wanted to go back to belching. The kit has been designed specifically for the Mark I MX-5 Miatas and is available globally via their network of vetted installer partners. There you go. Won't get fooled again. I'm gonna fall for a banana tailpipe. Thinking of my 65 Corvair Corsa, replace the transmission and clutch with an electric motor and gearbox, replace the flat 6 with a battery pack, and electronics under the rear seats. If the electric motor is the same as the one for the Miata, it's a 12.5% increase in horsepower, but the increase in torque would be monumental for a 2,400-pound car. I've also had a 240-pound Yenko Stage 3 Stinger based on the second-gen Corvair, and it was scary in the twisties, but it lacked the torque and was slow to rev. Electrogenic already has a kit for the Porsche 911s, so it would be an easy conversion since the two drivelines are very similar. There you go. Looking forward to more older ICE vehicles being converted over to EV. Personally, I have two stunning older Caddies. The 1986 Seville has only 23,600 miles on it, and the 1988 Cimarron, I had a teacher who drove a Cimarron, has 62,000. Neither need work, but to be honest, if either one broke down and needed any major engine trans work, I would truly look into making them EVs. For the love of whatever you pray to, Mazda, why can't you accomplish what a conversion can? Because they're Japanese, and the Japanese seem to hate EVs. That's why. Is it the government? Who knows? Is it the engineers? I don't know. It's the truth. It looks that way. Mazda is a relatively cash-strapped company that doesn't really have much of an EV program. There's that. That said, they will be electrifying the next Miata. In my opinion, that probably means hybrid, absolutely. They probably won't move to full EV Miata until they've converted their SUVs and sedans first, for money reasons. I'd expect like a 2035 or so, maybe later. Volume. As cool as this conversion is, there won't be many sold. Mazda could license the conversion kit and sell it, but there's liability involved. A tiny car from 30 years ago that doesn't meet safety standards and doesn't have any creature comforts. You could probably add some. They still sell the Miata today, and no one buys it for safety standards or comforts. But the article just said they don't. They're selling the leftovers. That's like saying, why would anyone buy a motorcycle? And yes, to more tiny cars, most of us don't even need 4,000-pound SUVs with 6 seats, carrying one person to the office of the store. Anyway, before they get into tit for tat, let's continue on. We've got, speaking of motorcycles, we've got this thing here. The first electric motorcycle to roll off Can-Am's production line. Look at that. Looks sharp. Can-Am, a subsidiary of Bombardier Recreational Products, marked a significant milestone this week as its first electric motorcycle rolled off the production line. The long-anticipated event took place at the company's assembly plant in Querétaro, Mexico, signaling a new chapter for the brand as it leverages its storied power sports legacy to launch a new line of modern electric commuter motorcycles. The first Origin model off the line, part of Can-Am's new electric lineup, represents the company's first foray into the rapidly growing electric motorcycle market. Designed to appeal to urban commuters and the environmentally conscious trail riders, the Pulse and Origin bikes feature a sleek exterior design, sporty performance, and a promise of zero emissions, low maintenance riding that the company hopes will draw new riders in as well as seasoned veterans. That's pretty cool. Mr. All Electric Car Lunacy says, at least the EV converted Saturn Sky Roadsters are a tiny car from 20 years ago. They're a little bit bigger and have some more feature comforts than those 30-year-old Mazdas. That's for sure. Nice. Okay, so that is cool. Let's scroll down real quick and get some specs on this thing before I go to the next one. There they are. Their celebration. We did it. 2 models unveiled in 2022 ahead of their official launch earlier this year. Pulse designs a naked street bike, while the Origin is a more dual-sport version. They roll out with 8.9 kilowatt-hour battery packs, putting them on the lower end of capacities these days for full-size EV motorcycles. Battery packs offer an estimated city range of 100 miles or 90 miles, depending on the pack, okay? Or depending on the bike, really. Batteries fall just below the capacity of models offered by Livewire, such as the Del Mar and the Mulholland, but above Zero Electric Motorcycles' new entry-level entry-level rides. We talked about them recently. So they've put themselves in the middle. And that range isn't terrible for around town commuting. 100 miles? That's not bad. The good news is the smaller batteries charge faster, with the company claiming a 20 to 80% charge time of just 50 minutes when using a level 2 charger. And for city jaunts, 90 to 100 miles is likely plenty for most riders. Don't expect to be cruising the highways for too long with a modest battery pack like this. For the Origin, trail riding may require careful selection to ensure facilities are available nearby, unless you trailer it, or you bring power with you. Both of those work. I guess it's getting hotter in this room. I hear some stuff spin up or maybe somebody outside is running like a leaf blower. I don't know. The bikes are 47 horsepower, 35 kilowatts, and 0-60 of 3.8 and 4.3 seconds. That's blazing fast for what you're working with here. Not being a sport bike, for instance. All right. The U.S. is going to loan Stellantis $7.54 billion for a joint venture for 2 EV plants here in the States. I was mixed about this, but then I remembered, we want to bring batteries here, and we're about to put the tar at everybody else, so Italian or not, we do need to help these folks if they want to make a battery plant in the States. So the US DOE is going to loan $7.54 billion to Stellantis and Samsung SDI joint venture to build 2 EV lithium-ion battery plants in Indiana. So it's going to make at least 2,800 jobs at the plants, plus 100 more for part suppliers nearby, plus the construction. At full capacity, the plants will produce 67 gigawatt hours of batteries for Stellantis EVs in Kokomo, enough energy to supply 670,000 vehicles annually. The DOE's loan programs office said, Stellantis said yesterday, that the first plant will open in early 2025 and the second in 2027. There we go. To secure, oh, good, it's got strings. I like it when they have strings on these government loans. As long as they're reasonable. Some of them are like, wow, why even offer it? To secure the loan, Star Plus needs to implement its community benefits plan, which includes working with the community leaders to create well-paying jobs. It's unclear whether the loan will be able to be finalized before the new administration on January 20th. This could get messy. But according to the Associated Press, the DOE said it would be irresponsible for any government to turn its back on private sector partners, states, and communities that are benefiting from lower costs, energy costs, and new economic opportunities from the loans. What will Elon say? Because he will actually have input into this. All right, so what I was hearing was somebody's loud engine, not something in my room. Okay. Electric says since the new administration is threatening tariffs all over the place to stimulate domestic manufacturing, it would be pretty dumb if he also attempted to kill this loan. I'm not going to say more there, but let's just say that he did say drill baby drill, and so that could happen. DOE anticipates this and is making a point of saying its announcement plan the project will greatly expand EV battery manufacturing capacity in North America and reduce America's reliance on adversarial foreign nations such as China and other foreign sourcing of EV batteries. Now let's see what the comments look like, if they're any more careful than I am. The solution is to have individual states give incentives and loans for this to happen. Yeah, they cannot mess with that. The U.S. has proven its national politics is too unpredictable, but he can't touch Indiana doing it itself. That's right. Let's see how it plays out long term when the states bet on oil and gas versus renewables. This would be a huge improvement because when some states raise taxes sky high to waste money on some ideological agenda, at least people have a choice to move to a different state with a better government. But look at South Carolina with our $9 billion investment in a nuclear plant, which would have been a good idea. Instead, we got a $9 billion hole in the ground that was dug and then covered back up with no nuclear plant to see for it. And now we're paying a Virginia company for electricity at an inflated rate. They didn't get the increase they had accounted for when they bought the company, but they did get one. So it works both ways. Anyone want to place bets on this happening? POTUS E announced Saturday that he had selected several oil services executive selected oil services executive Chris Wright to lead the Department of Energy. Why not a nuke person? Wright is president and CEO of Liberty Energy, which assists energy producers with hydraulic fracturing as well as well completion. Fracking. Wright, a donor to his campaign, denied that there is a climate crisis or ongoing energy transition. In a video posted to LinkedIn last year, he said that the idea of carbon pollution is outrageous. What? Didn't we not just look at this chart together? Since humans cannot live without carbon dioxide. What? There's no climate crisis, he says. Humans cannot live without water. And yet drowning is one of the leading causes of death. All things in moderation. dear Mr. Wright. Oh boy. My prediction is that he will cancel government subsidies to EVs and renewable projects, just as he promised to do. That is the prudent way to proceed. I mean, keep going at this stuff, but assume that anything you didn't like that he told you is the truth. That's how it was last time. This will make some projects commercially non-viable, and such projects will likely be canceled. Hopefully, this thing is designed so that it doesn't need that, and that this just makes it come to profitability faster. Or that Musk sees as a chance that he can get these batteries, since they're still buying all the batteries they can buy, and then he goes on, hoping that they'll go out of business for other reasons, and he can get these supplies. Many other such projects will do just fine without any government subsidies. This is true. For example, this specific Stellantis and Samsung EV battery plant may be able to secure funds from commercial financial institutions instead of relying on a government loan. Yeah, and that's the other part of it. It's a loan. It's not a grant or a gift of any sort. So it has a chance of surviving, assuming this plant is actually commercially viable, of course. And before these people annoy me and upset me, let's move on to another topic. Alright, so this time it's for realsies. Nissan drivers are finally welcome to the Supercharger network. Tesla was all ready to give it to them a couple weeks ago, but Nissan was not yet ready. And now we know why. Nissan drivers will be able to use Tesla's Supercharger network next week. And specifically the Aria drivers will be able to use the Supercharger network next week because the Leaf has a CHAdeMO, and there's no official adapter for CHAdeMO to CCS to NACS. It's for realsies this time. Last month, Tesla pulled the trigger early and announced Nissan drivers now had access to the Supercharger. Turned out not to be accurate as per Nissan, but we're told that it was coming soon. Soon is next week. Nissan announced today, Nissan Aria drivers will gain access to 17,800 Tesla Superchargers within the Nissan Energy Charge Network, beginning December 10th. The expansion is the expansion brings the total NECN to more than 100,000 public chargers in the US and 25,000 in Canada. Here's the thing, it needs an adapter for your adapter, so let's go look at that. Coming from The Verge, so Aria owners need a plastic piece put into the CCS port before they can use the adapter. This is permanent, so you can install it once, so it's more of a weird quirk than a hassle of having an adapter and an adapter, because at that point, why not make your first adapter have all that together? But so let's take a look at the Nissan video for that. I'm not going to change over the audio just because it's just a narration. Here it is. So
Aria owners have access to public charging at NACS chargers, including an additional 17,800 public chargers on the Tesla Supercharger network when they purchase a NACS adapter kit from Nissan.
NACS is
Inside your NACS.
All right, so right here, let me turn off the closed captioning for now. So there we can see they've got the regular Tesla supplied adapter. And right next to it is a little something extra that needs to go into the charge port on the Nissan Aria. And it looks like it adds some sort of stability or structure to a void that they've got in their CCS port. So let's turn back on the captions. I don't know what H does, but I pushed it. Let's push it again. C is what I wanted for closed captioning. Here we go.
Adapter box. There is a plug adapter which must be installed before charging your Nissan EV with a NACS charger, including on the Tesla Supercharger network. Once installed, it should remain in place as it will not impact your ability to charge with your home charger or a CCS fast charger. Installation is simple. There are no tools required. You can install this piece with your hands. Notice the words and
I think you
arrow
might hear
on
this
the
anyway
top of
based on
the
what I'm saying.
adapter plug. You will install the piece in the top of the hourglass-shaped cavity between the two DC pins at the bottom of the port. The text on the plug adapter should face up. The arrow pointing in indicates the side that goes into the cavity first. Once you have the plug adapter lined up correctly, go ahead and press it in until it is flush with the surrounding area. You must only use an adapter provided by Nissan or purchased from a U.S. Nissan
I guess you guys
dealership.
do hear this.
You are now ready to charge using the NACS adapter on NACS public charging infrastructure, including the Tesla Supercharger network.
Okay, so I may remove this one as well from the broadcast if they hit me up for music. I did not realize that all of a sudden, that when we fixed it after Lee told us about it, that also we got audio from the Mix Minus. That's both nifty and good to know now before before I end up in a situation where I'm broadcasting music to the world. Let's see. So there's Nissan. Welcome aboard, folks. And while we're there, this one condo complex installed charging for just $405 per parking spot instead of the thousands to tens of thousands of dollars that we get quoted for typical multifamily and commercial installations. Let's move this over to the correct window. Let's go back to the YouTube overview. And let's go back to, let's get Google Lens reset since I'm there. Let's go back to X and make sure that's still looking smooth. And it's reloading, so is it still smooth? Who knows? Yeah, that looks right. Alright, so now let's come back to you guys. And let's double check. We've got the multi-chat working, but let's check out. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, good. Good. Everything is working as it should. So $405 per parking spot. So for their 90 housing units, they only real problem is EV charging. Yeah, if you can't charge at home, it sucks. Assuming that you don't have charging at work. Charging at work and not home is not so bad. I've done that before. Only those with consistent parking. Right to charge laws give apartment dwellers a solution for home charging. Apartment charging is nevertheless a bit of a patchwork. Oh, yes. We heard about a condo complex that installed EV chargers for all of its units at an incredibly low price of $405 per space. Not bad. So the condo complex in Woodland Creek with 90 units in East Palo Alto, at the heart of Silicon Valley, is the epicenter of this electric vehicle adoption in the U.S. It's done by Pando Electric, focused on multifamily and commercial buildings. We spoke to the CEO and founder and found that it's the largest 100% coverage project in North America, but it's not stopping there. It differs from other multifamily projects, will cover some percentage of available, yes, that's right, but not all of them. This one, hello Moto, the door's open if you want to push on it. Hi baby. How are you? Did you have a nap?
Yeah.
You did? How was it? 2 hours? Yeah. Every time you ask her about her nap, she tells you 2 hours. She tells you about the dreams. Come here. I love you.
I made Tesla.
What about Tesla?
I made two Tesla.
You made 2 Teslas?
Yeah. I hot Tesla. I put meal Tesla.
You fit the mail?
Yeah.
Oh. Is this chocolate on your nose?
Yeah. I put meal there. I put meal there.
You put the mail there?
Yeah.
Are you sure? I think I did that. I got a 2-cent check from a bank that shut down. I gotta find a pen so I can cash it.
There.
There?
There.
Yeah.
I put there.
You playing with this? Well, the camera's over here if you want to show it to them.
Put Tesla there.
She has a lens cleaning kit for a Insta360 360 camera. All right, so they installed it everywhere, including each unit has 1 and 2 handicap parking spaces. All right, bye, baby.
I'm a cookie.
You want a cookie?
I'm a
Oh, you're making cookies. Oh, that smells delicious. Thank you.
Cookie. I'm a cookie.
Oh, you're making a smoothie.
I'm a tough cookie.
You did? What'd you put in your smoothie?
That's fun.
You did. All right then. Okay. You can leave it open unless you can make noise. I was hearing your ghost story, so I closed it. It's hot in here. All these lights and computers. I need to, when we get the new place, whenever that is, I need to make sure there's a either separate air circuit, or I need to make sure there's a intake in this the equivalent of this room in the studio. So they even put them on 2 handicap spots. The chargers are small boxes equipped with connectivity and NEMA 1450 outlets. So just basic. Here's some outlets. You deal with the rest. Each charger doesn't have a cable connected. That's for the owner of the car to provide, in the form of a mobile charging connector. So like the Tesla and everybody else's little mobile charging units. I like it. And 1450 really is the best way to deal with this. I have 650 on my non-Tesla kit, but while it is cheaper, it's 1450 is the way to go. Let's see. Most EVs either come with one of these cables or can purchase separately for a few $100s. And you can also adapt between 1450 and 650. You can't easily adapt from 650 to 1450. So I guess they'll have a meter on it. Pando says the benefit of going this route is that in a world with wide variety of electric cars, OEM supplied equipment will always be the most reliable and will often come with a warranty from the manufacturer. It also means that each owner is responsible for their own cable, which means you don't need to have one maintenance guy on the property responsible for keeping all 90 units up and running, or people mistreating attached cables because each person will take ownership of their own equipment. Yeah, absolutely, and take better care of it. Well, maybe. There's a similar provision in the new NACS J3400 spec. Yeah, we talked about this months ago. Let's look at it again. That should help with public charging, and that there will be no need to update systems if charging standards change, as we're seeing currently with the current transition to NACS. Instead of adding dedicated service to each spot, Pando system shares electricity between all the outlets on the property. How does this work? In this way, it can use 300 amps of 3-phase commercial service to charge all 90 cars overnight, albeit not as quickly as if each vehicle had its own dedicated 7 to 10 kilowatt level 2 charger. And it said installation costs went down by 80% when connecting to communal electric rather than adding service to each individual unit. I get how it could work to their little blue boxes here, but I don't get how you don't freak out a Tesla or Toyota or whatever when the available current drops. And you can't really signal that over the 1450. So what are you doing to make them slow down? It accomplishes this by implementing a queue through Pando's charging app. When a car wants to charge, you plug in and initiate a session with the app. That's how. Or through tap to charge NFC system. So basically they give you full charge, and then they just rotate whose turn it is to get a full connection. This works. Although something like a Tesla that comes back for another bite at the apple, or any of these cars, if you do the pre-warming, you want to, not that this is going to be a problem in California, but you say you want to warm up the car for the winter time. If your turn is already over, you're doing it just from the battery and not replenishing the battery before your trip. If you need a particular need for immediate charging, you can jump to the front of the queue and pay a premium of around 20%. Oh, gracious. For faster charging. Charging costs the same as electricity normally would in the area, and your electric usage is monitored through the Pando app. For most owners, the queue won't really make a difference. Most people are driving some 40 miles a day and would only need an hour or two of charging per night. Yeah, absolutely. And so the effect is the same. You get home, plug in, and you wake up to full charge. Except you're also scanning your phone. Having centralized control over charging does open up possibilities for grid services. We've seen services like virtual power plants that are able to leverage grid-connected storage to feed the grid on demand, and Panda would like to move in that direction eventually, but its current NEMA 1450 solution is not bidirectional capable. It's not entirely accurate either. Cybertruck, for instance, has the power share option, and it will work over that connection, provided you've got the appropriate equipment on the backside to talk to this stuff. But most other people's systems don't work bidirectionally like that. However, dynamic management is still useful. The system can try to deliver maximum power at times of low demand and scale back when demand and prices and grid stress are high. Yeah, they can just turn everybody off, and then when the bill goes by or the whatever happens, just turn them back on at whose turn it is. Or if everyone's asked to cut back on usage to avoid blackouts, a centralized system can help manage that automatically in these situations without having to get every resident on board, because you won't have a choice. This sounds like an effective solution. And if I were to become an owner of a multifamily structure that already existed rather than building one, I would look into this. It did take advantage of a hefty credit from the Peninsula Clean Energy local electric utility co-op, which covered $2,000 per unit installed. Still cheaper than what other folks are charging for this type of setup. After that incentive, the all-in cost, including charging units themselves, about $500 each. The project design, installation, conduit, permitting, and labor, etc., was only $405 per unit. It's less than a month's worth of HOA fees. Ouch. That's quite an HOA fee. That's more than I pay a year currently. HOA fees at the condo complex, where the units cost between $500,000 to $1 million. Okay, so that's nothing to them. Drop in the bucket. Really, in order to add a new capability to every unit and thus better resale value, especially given the popularity of EVs in the area. Typically, traditional level 2 charging can cost a lot more than that, yes. Especially if there's a need to pull more capacity from the utility, yes, which takes more time. And by covering every unit, residents won't need to worry about whose turn it is, or sharing charges, or waiting, yes. I've long said the only real problem with EVs is charging for people who don't have access to their own garage, exactly. And not necessarily garage, just a place to plug in at home that's yours, without having to share. Apartment dwellers, street parkers, workarounds are available, like charging at work, yep. Using superchargers as a supplement, yes, but not as a primary. It's not. I've done it. I wouldn't recommend it. And mine was free. Imagine if you got to pay for it. The best bet is to just charge your car wherever it spends most of its time. Yes, home, work, whatever. So there's a need for solutions like this in this space. Pandos seems like a pretty good one. There are other companies doing installations for multifamily, but we haven't heard of one that was this cheap before. True. It really makes it seem economical to just install these units for every single parking space instead of fussing about who's going to be what percent. Yep. Top comment by Dan B says, in early 2015, I by chance ended up with my first EV. It was a 2015 Chevy Spark EV, which replaced my recently purchased 2014 Spark Gas that was totaled when somebody hit me. I was living in an apartment at the time, and public chargers weren't here like today. I remember it was 2015. My tandem parking spots were next to a 120 outlet, and that was not used by the building. But it was about 7 feet up the wall. Not thinking much about it, I ran my charge cord along a pipe with zip ties, and had the plug hang where I could grab it and plug in. Being in Southern California, the rent is super high, and I didn't think they'd make an issue. But they did. My next choice was to purchase a super heavy-duty extension cord and run it from my balcony apartment, which was directly above the parking. That's pretty cool. I even got a cord matched to the exterior color, so it ran down a corner where it wasn't noticeable. It looked way nicer than the old ratty cable cords hanging on the side of the building. So I thought I was okay. No, you weren't. I believe you did, but no, you weren't. Nope. So I sat down with the building manager and tried to work out paying some extra month on my rent to cover the small 120 outlet charging costs. Nope. Yep, that sounds right. Then I asked if they'd be willing to install a level 2 charger in one of the open parking spaces for me and future owners. Nope. It's a 2-year lease, and I ended up getting rid of that car after 15 months, as I was tired of fighting them and or trying to find a working level 2 or 3 charger. Glad to see articles like this. Yeah, I would have ditched the place for the car, but that's just because I'm a jerk like that. All right, I got all these solutions, and you're being punks about it. Bye. Yeah, problem attached to the app and the NFC and all that. They say it communicates locally. If the system goes down, instead of needing to connect to the internet all the time, app is just unnecessary after plugging in. I'd like to see removed. That would allow it to do the round robin thing, but yeah, you could do that without the app, and then the app at that point would only be for the primo, and letting you see what your bill might be before you actually get it. But that can also be local, just like we were talking with Tyler about with the stuff can run locally easily on commodity hardware. You don't even need a big server. I wouldn't say Raspberry Pi for that, but it's like my dad's single board computer here. I'll be popping this in on his new network once I get all the program on there. So cool. Very cool to me. That was him, right? Yep, Spark. Excuse me. The number of negative comments on here is quite disturbing. It seems folks are determined to find as many potential problems with the solution as is humanly possible. It's just like voting. You're not looking for perfect. You're looking for a bus that will get you home or to work. You want one that's gonna, be safe and get you as close as possible. So what if it doesn't get you there all the way? You didn't have to walk the whole way. Then, when they do want to do something that is better or more perfect, they can spend the extra money, and the price on that should be down at that point. Or you've then moved to a place where you have your own dedicated charging, and you install and pick and all that yourself, where you can pick the perfect one, the Goldilocks. Moving on, I don't even want to get into that comment. They have a point, but let's give them a thumbs up because they are going on about the complainers, but reading about the complainers will not help my state right now. Speaking of my state, alright, so there are a bunch of articles written that J1772 is dead. Long live J3400, or as I call it, JNAX, because J3400 is a stupid name. It's less stupid than J1772, but it's just a stupid name. So JNAX, so this one I noted as the cleanest quote explaining it yet, from Darren over at Drive Tesla Canada. I think it was Darren, but over at Drive Tesla Canada. And let's see, this was one we opened from that. Oh no, this isn't the same one. This one is from we already looked at this one ages ago, but they were pointing out something we've already discussed, because again, this is from 2023, that the new NAC standard instead uses a standardized receptacle, which is in fact the same one used in the EU and China. So it's a Type 2 on the pole, and then whatever you want on the other side. NAC's J1772 Type 2 on the other side. So you can carry a $100 to $200 cable with you, and the receptacle does have a locking mechanism, making each driver responsible for their own cable, and makes maintenance easier in public spaces. So you can get a J3068 up to 52 kilowatts and 3-phase, or 19 kilowatts and single phase. So basically the same as what we have right now with both NACs and J1772 is 19 kilowatts on single phase. So 32 amps, 63 or 70 amps. Actually, you would need 80 amps to get to to get to the full 19 kilowatts. J3400 up to 19 kilowatts, but that could actually be higher if they have the commercial power, the three-phase with one leg pulled off. 32 amps, 48 amps, or 70 amps. J1772 with the J3400 ready EVs. The reason they say it that way is J1772 cannot take the full voltage that these other systems can deliver. So if you plug into a 277 volt socket on a 240 volt only car, you could make a mess. Yeah. So 32 amps, 48 amps, 70 amps. So they all have a Type 2 on one end, and then they have what you need on the other, a Type 2, a NAX, or a J1772. And that was the reason we clicked on this link while we were in on the apartment complex condo situation, because that's what you were referring to. But continuing on, now it's official. And none of the articles were explaining why it was official, except this one. So I got a quote in here. The United States government has said it plans to endorse NACS as a federal EV charging standard. The decision aims to unify, streamline the nation's EV charging infrastructure, promising greater compatibility, efficiency, and accessibility for EV users. So here's the part where they actually say it, and most of the articles skipped. Kristen White, acting federal highway administrator, confirmed the significance of this shift at a recent Alliance for Automotive Innovation conference. She announced that the federal agencies would soon issue updated guidance and incorporate NACS fully into federally funded charging projects. In the coming weeks, here's the quote, in the coming weeks, you will be seeing an update from the federal agencies on what we call the J3400 standard. That will be the standard moving forward, and we're really happy to report that out. That came from Politico. According to this transition, the NACS will occur within the framework of existing regulations, avoiding the need for new rulemaking. Instead, the forthcoming update will provide clarification on using NACS within the NEVI program, which currently mandates CCS in federally funded chargers, which is the last big concern we were having, is that NEVI specified CCS. And so now that nobody, except for VinFast and I don't even think Ferrari's a problem. VinFast and was not even Mitsubishi. There's one other automaker than VinFast that has not announced compatibility with NACS. And everybody but Stellantis has announced also that they are on the supercharger network. This balances integration with NACS with continued use of CCS, ensuring a gradual and inclusive transition. The agency will hold a webinar and release a list of frequently asked questions about the changes on December 17th. And the relatively quick journey of NACS from Tesla's proprietary design to federal standard highlights the collaborative efforts between stakeholders in the industry and regulatory bodies. Independent standards organizations such as SAE International recently finalized, and that was the other part of it, was that everybody else was focused on, was that SAE finally closed the books. It's ready to go. No more little this and that kept it as an open status. But still, that was very quick compared to what they normally run at. Anyway, so they finalized the NACS design under the designation J3400 instead of JNACS because hubris. By standardizing NACS, SAE has ensured that it functions as an open standard detached from Tesla's exclusivity. The standardization has been pivotal in gaining widespread support across automakers and charger manufacturers. Going on. That leads into this. I've got two sources for it, one from Inside EVs and one from Electrek. No apps, no swipes. Every EV will get supercharger-like charging in 2025. What? So what this is that in Europe, you guys have already have this because your plug-in charge is administered centrally. Ours finally has provisions for not centrally, but something easier for the manufacturers to deal with. They are not IT organizations, and they don't want to be bothered with managing certificates and renewing certificates and all of that. So we now have a solution for them. Universal plug-in charge, the ability to plug in your EV, just start charging without having to open up an app, swipe a card, push buttons, will be ready in 2025 and promises to make EV charging much easier thanks to an effort between SAE and the Biden admin's Joint Office Energy Transportation. Well, we got Anders says, good late evening. Good evening, Anders. Tesla would ensure that NACS becomes the standard worldwide. That would be nice, but they would need a three-phase solution. I could see them working with, not necessarily SAE, but whatever. Well, SAE is international. But whoever's got the Type 2 with CCS2, I could see them working with that to maybe add three-phase to like MCS or something, and then making that more NACS-like, perhaps. Or you have NACS everywhere that doesn't have three-phase power. I don't know how you're going to handle the three-phase part. But CCS2 is not as bad as CCS1. So it's not as urgent that you guys make a swap to anything over there. But it would be nice to have a global plug like MCS2 and MCS3. The problem with MCS2 and 3, and also their benefit, they don't offer AC charging, so they don't have to worry about the 240-volt, three-phase, 50 or 60 hertz. It's just DC power. So if they could find a clean way to integrate all the world's AC power into something like MCS, that would work. But there's I can't see any way to get three-phase through the connections we've got on NACS. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so universal plug-in charge. Yeah, it's great if your car's got it. Outside of Tesla superchargers and the much smaller Rivian Adventure network, on-road EV charging can be an inconsistent experience for the U.S. Plenty of drivers use them every day. Typically have lower reliability. Can be confusing to initiate charging sessions at. Yeah. Mr. Dunn just redid his cross-country DC charging adventure, and getting the non-Tesla stations activated was a pain. And for his Volvo, getting the Tesla superchargers was more steps than needed, because right now, sorry, his Polestar. Right now, his Polestar doesn't have plug-in charge on superchargers, so he had to use the app. But at least it was consistent compared to his other experience. Okay, so all of this. In Europe, PKI is provided by a company called Hubject, which provides charging sessions for European public chargers. But in the US, nobody has coalesced around a single company or org for these certificate services. The solution's been in the works for a few years, and it's finally about to go in the form of what is colloquially referred to as the Universal Plug-in Charge, technically referred to as the ISO 15118 standard. Today, a consortium of companies, the SAE and the Biden administration's Joint Office of Energy and Transportation, announced that Universal Plug-in Charge will come in 2025. The technical details involve a PKI backend that is not provided by a single company, but utilizes a standard process to allow various companies to provide this service. So it sounds more like what we've got on the web than what you guys have on plug-in charge in Europe. In practical terms, it means faster starts to charging sessions as the communications process is streamlined, better security, and potential future capabilities like bidirectional charging. Top comment by Locke. When you think about it, this will be far superior even to ICE gas stations. Yep, it will. We cannot simply drive up to a gas station, fill the tank, and drive away. There are some nice solutions there, but yeah, this will be even better than anything they have. Assuming that you're not talking like driving into a corporate lot where it's already controlled access at the gate and anybody can just dump it in there. But even there, I don't think it's going to be that quick, because you still got to open it up, let it pre-charge the pump. Then they got to make sure they're not stealing it in your personal vehicle for a corporate machine. When you think about it, it'd be far superior to ICE and gas stations. We simply cannot pull up to any gas station and drive away. Many people have separate apps and loyalty discounts, etc. Yeah, that's true. So it'd be like passkey on your devices, where You can say, hey, this is my primary. If you don't have an agreement with the primary, here's my secondary. And then they just load in all of your discount codes with that. So there we go. Coming up next year. Skip on down to this one. How about the Pope Mobile? Pope Mobile. Let's talk about the Pope Mobile. Pope's new ride is this electric G-Class. Mercedes just gave the Pope a new set of all-electric wheels. That's something. I noticed the sides are open, I guess for cooling or whatever, but your Popes tend to be kind of old, so hopefully it's got air conditioning and heating on there. It looks like it might just work with the cab, so that should be fine. Usually he's encased in bulletproof glass, so hopefully the front HVAC is enough to handle that. And that the open sides is not really a thing. That or they've determined they don't need bulletproof glass for him anymore, and then, well, more power to it. His newest Boatmobile is a coach-built specialized version of the Mercedes G580 with EQ technology, so it's an EV for sure. It's got an open air, yeah, it is open air seating area for Pope Francis, a height adjustable swivel chair, and a removable top to protect him from the elements. Mercedes unveiled the latest version of the Pope's open-air transportation, lovingly called the Popemobile. In 2024, it's gone electric with a cut-roof design based on the awfully named G580 with EQ technology, or as everyone else calls it, the Electric G. I'm the Electric G. I take offense to that. Mercedes has a long history of furnishing his Holy Father's whips. Because the Pope's duties involve a lot of crowd work, the Bishop of Rome has long traveled in an open-air car that allows him to greet, bless, and interact with worshippers through a plexiglass enclosed version. Though a plexiglass enclosed version was later used, people mistakenly assumed that it was, so it's not bulletproof, okay. So it's just to keep him warm or cold, I guess. So it wasn't bulletproof. They're half right, according to plaques next to it at the Mercedes-Benz Museum in Stuttgart. The enclosed Popemobile was designed to protect the Pope, not from gunmen though, but from wind and rain. Fair enough. And here it is without the tonneau cover, the whatever, the cage. He can just sit in a swivel chair. And there it is with the cover. And here it is from the back. There's the interior. Looks like those egg chairs a little bit. Alright, how do I get out of this X? No, not more. X. A new edition has a removable top, front, and the electric powertrain will help too, as the first all-electric Mercedes Boatmobile is sure to be quieter than any internal combustion G. Not to mention that he's not blasting the supporters with noxious fumes. Note that Fisker of all companies beat Mercedes to the punch by offering an all-electric Boatmobile design. I think we did look at that at some point. It allows him to travel emissions-free, a good perk when you represent a church that aims to protect the earth and its people. Mercedes says that the powertrain has been specifically configured for the low-speed driving the Pope does, but offers no more details on powertrain changes. Yeah, they would not. I assume then that the Pope's driver has access to 579 horsepower, 859 foot-pounds of torque, more than you need when your main passenger is in an unrestrained swivel chair, and notably 87. No wonder Mercedes tuned it more for low-speed operation. Comes with a 116 kilowatt-hour battery. Considering the low speeds, I expect the Pope's hand will get tired before this car does. With 10 to 80% charge time in just 32 minutes, the electric Popemobile should be capable of a quick turnaround. One comment, let's see what it says. I want to see it do the tank turn with the Pope in the back mid-wave. Oh... Let's not abuse this old man. Next up, we've got good news in that the first Lucid Gravity is finally built. It's ready for delivery. I've got a just random unlabeled X post, which is probably also this. Oh, I've got one more headlight recall. This time it's not the Porsche Macan, but the Tesla Model X. Yeah. However, this was unlabeled because I don't know why it was unlabeled, but this is the conversation we discussed earlier about the Tesla Scope and others, remote node or local node, whatever you want to call it. So we can skip that. We've already discussed it. Tesla issues a over-the-air recall for 2024 Model X headlight flicker issues. So this is a over-the-air software update recall, and you'll need to just install this update for the 25 Model X's that have an issue where the headlights can flicker under specific ambient temperature conditions. The problem was identified during routine quality checks and involves the vehicle's lower beam headlights and parking lamps failing to meet the FMVSS requirement for steady burning lights, showcasing the speed at which Tesla moves compared to the federal government. The automaker has already resolved the issue with an over-the-air software update deployed in August. So if you were one of those 25, you should have already got this, because it's now December. But I guess the government is just now getting around to doing the mailings and notifications for those 25 people. According to the NHTSA website, the issue was first detected on August 12th of 2024 in undelivered Model X outside the U.S. Interesting. Tesla immediately began investigating the flickering condition, which it initially classified as a quality concern. Over the coming months, the company collaborated with the headlight component supplier Hella Automotive Mexico, SADECV, to conduct a root cause analysis. The investigation revealed the issue stemmed from a unique combination of temperature variations and a software anomaly in the headlamp hardware produced near the limits of its designed specifications. To address the issue, Tesla deployed a global software update starting on August 16th. And this makes sense because Tesla is using what they call the global headlights. So if you found a problem in the US, you might be close to having a problem anywhere else in the world. The update integrated into its software versions 2023.20 and all the way up through 2024.26.7 ensured that the headlights complied with the FMVSS standards, and by November 27th of 2024, all affected vehicles in the US had received the fix. Some of you guys take a long time to push the update button, don't you? Customers were not required to take any additional action as the update and fix was installed automatically, leveraging Tesla's OTA capabilities. Yeah, but that doesn't sound like one of the forced ones that they can do outside of a real update. That sounds like that's how long it took these people to do a regular update. They can force the updates on you if it's bad enough, and as we saw with the Cybertruck horn, they've also got other partial updates they can do as well. Tesla says the affected Model X vehicles were manufactured between June 5th of 2024 and August 2nd of 2024. They confirmed that the vehicles produced after August 16th of 2024 had the update software installed during production, preventing the issue in the first place. Additionally, the company verified that no other Tesla models shared this specific combination of headlamp hardware and software causing the flickering. You can read the full NHTSA notice below. Transport Canada has not yet issued a similar recall notice. I bet they will. Alright, so Hydro BC has their first ever EV connection with the NACS connectors on it. That opened in Okanagan in British Columbia. The site features 22 charging ports and offers drivers a faster, more convenient way to power up during their trips. The new hub is their first ultra-fast 350 kilowatt charger. Great. Good job. Capable of charging most EVs from 20% to 80% in under 10 minutes. But not all EVs can use the full 350 speed. Yeah, that's true. Every vehicle can safely connect and charge to its maximum capacity. Yep, they won't overdo you. It's the first one to feature NACS. These connectors aim to make charging simpler and more accessible for Tesla and non-Tesla drivers alike. The site also includes level 2 chargers, 180 kilowatt fast chargers for those who prefer other options. The EV chargers looking to explore, or so EV travelers looking to explore BC Hydro and offers an updated charging map on its EV app, making it easier to locate and save your favorite stations. Recently, they've opened Ashcroft, Lake Cowichan, Pemberton, Port Coquitlam, TransLink, Vanderhoof, and coming soon you've got Colwood or Quarry Park, Prince George, CNC, South Surrey with TransLink, and Delta Sports Complex Development. Congrats to them. No comments on that. Alright, so we've got early hydrogen adopters facing problems with Nikola, go figure. I guess I didn't click it, because there it goes. Nikola stock seems to... Yeah? You ready to change your diaper?
Lay down.
There's no way to lay down in here.
I can't lay down.
Yeah, you can't lay down in here.
Mommy's
Mommy's gonna help me move this table in a little bit, the computer table.
on the table.
Not right now. I'm not gonna get it to help her right now. Almost done.
Lay down.
You want to lay down? Yeah. Yeah, you want to change? You want to use your potty?
No.
No. Mommy, can I help you?
No.
No, Mommy can't help you?
Yeah, mommy.
I mean, I can move this table right here, and you can bring a pillow if you want me to change it here. You want to bring a pillow? No. She can use the potty, but she doesn't want to. So anyway, Nikola's down to a 52-week low, and an NHTSA complaint is claiming that the fuel cell shut down unpredictably, and one of the hydrogen's early adopters remains unconvinced. It's time for Nikola to throw in the towel on hydrogen? Question mark. Yeah. Hall managing member and founder of Coyote Container drove the hydrogen Nikola over the hilly 400-mile route that took the truck and its 17.7-ton trailer through California's Altamont Pass and Grapevine Canyon on the I-5, the Grapevine, between Port of Oakland and Port of Los Angeles in Long Beach. The trip seemed like a ringing endorsement for the hydrogen-powered trucks. Nearly a year later, Williams seems to have soured on the early adopter experience, specifically citing higher than anticipated operating costs, fuel costs, weight limitations, and warranty concerns. We've been telling you about the fuel concerns forever. That stuff's expensive. $36 a kilogram last time I checked. $36 a gallon equivalent. Diesel doesn't cost that much. And then if your maintenance isn't checking out either, then that's really hard to bring those numbers together. The truck costs 5 to 10 times that of a standard Class 8 truck, he told Clean Trucking. On top of that, you pay 5 to 10 times the federal excise tax. Wow. And local sales taxes. Ouch. Which comes to roughly 22% more. That sounds like for the truck or for fuel. If you add 10% reserve not covered by any voucher program, you're at 32%. So 32% of 500,000 is 160,000 for the trucker to somehow pay out of pocket. You get a whole nother gas truck for almost that. Almost a whole nother gas truck for almost that. Yes. So, yeah, we told you this wasn't a good deal. Isn't it? Coyote Container alone isn't alone in expressing concerns about the practicality of hydrogen trucks in general, but there are concerns about Nikola's hydrogen semi-truck in particular. It's the only one readily available for one. In an official NHTSA complaint made against Nikola HFCEV, the truck experienced 5 roadside propulsion outages, resulting in 3 towings and 2 instances where the truck had to limp home on battery power. I guess limping home because the amount of battery left was not sufficient to be just cruising on in. Because it does have it is an EV, so it does have a full battery pack, but because it's got a fuel cell, that battery pack is much smaller than you would expect it to be. The failure was unpredictable, cutting power off while the vehicle showed between 20 and 140 miles left of fuel cell charge. The first such incident happened with about 900 miles on the truck's odometer, while the more recent one occurred at 28,340 miles. You can read more about it at the Nikola NHTSA complaint below, or just read Hall's summary of the situation in his own words. I've dealt with more tow trucks in the last 10 months than in my 62 years on this earth. That's on LinkedIn, which Elon was complaining about recently. Trying to get people to close their LinkedIn accounts. And I don't know what I'm going to see when I click there, because I actually have a class that is being mostly hosted through LinkedIn and then evaluated elsewhere. Pretty cool. The error codes included fuel cell shutdown, tank valve error, and this occurred in the remaining mileage between 20 and 140 miles, making it difficult and possibly unsafe to rely on the vehicle for both operator safety and cargo security. The incidents occurred between January 24 and October 24 with no technical resolution by the dealer or manufacturer. All incidents were reported at the time to Nikola, and the owner has actively engaged in trying to bring about a resolution. The OEM does not provide service reports, and the first incident occurred at roughly 900 miles, and the most recent at 28,340. It is the understanding that this is a product-wide issue and not isolated. While no recall has been issued for the issue above, the company has been no stranger to recalls, and may be more sensitive about issuing another one as its stock reaches a new 52-week low. More on that in a minute. Your stock price is not to be a consideration when safety is involved. If you need a recall, issue a recall. If you don't need a recall, say why. The stock price doesn't matter. Safety is first. Safety is paramount. If you get your drivers killed, if you get your owners killed, if you hurt the general public, you're done. Let's go to LinkedIn before I get mad at this company anymore. Why did it scroll all the way down for this? It's basically the same thing we saw in the complaint. Let's go on. Putting money over people is just ridiculous. It should not be done. Alright, so Max DeZeger was giving us some supercharger specs. Some supercharger price reductions overall. Goal is to 1, price low to accelerate EV adoption. We pass on the cost efficiencies. So even more reason to hope and see more mega packs near your superchargers. 2 is to be financially sustainable to invest in the network, growing a dependable freedom to travel. I like that they want to invest in themselves. You may remember price updates Tesla had in Europe this week, but they weren't the only ones. There were a lot of price changes in the US this week at Tesla superchargers too. The Tesla supercharger locations that I used in the US were always the largest locations in their respective state at the start date. You can see them all trending mostly down or staying kind of flat. And what I was looking at was where we loaded in at. Was Thanksgiving 2024 peak ever supercharger consumption? So it's asking if it was the all-time high of Tesla supercharger consumption. Likely some fun stats that could be pulled. And Max confirms, yes, 12 gigawatt hours on Sunday, 11:30 was the on the North American network. So all of us consumed 12 gigawatt hours on that Sunday. Well, not me, because I did it from home, but or from my house, from this house. There we go. That's cool. Chansu says bullish for Tesla charging without dropping his referral code. 48 million real world miles of energy provided to the active fleet in 24 hours on one continent. That's one way to look at it. Maybe I'm just a nerd, but I'd love to see more stats like these. Huge stats. The supercharger network is so awesome. 12 gigawatt hours in a single day. That's an incredible milestone for North American network. Clean energy scaling up in real time. I was just a small part of that with our Cybertruck. Yeah, plus also the Rivians, the Fords, the Lucids, everybody was able to participate. I guess the Lucids might not have until we get our V4s their booster has to work extra hard on it. It's roughly 250,000 cars charged. Depends on how you want to break it down. Don't forget that all the Model 3s and Ys especially are getting these little microcharges because they charge so fast and they're so light. Excuse me, can you also mention the peak power consumption? That's a good question. How much in gigawatts was it to get those gigawatt hours? See, it all depends on how you break it down. This guy got 5 million sessions in a day. The other guy got 250,000 cars. That's cool. And that was the last thing I had for today's show. So I want to thank all of you for your time. I want to thank Anders, Mr. All Electric Car Lunacy, and others for your continued monetary support as a channel member. I want to thank Marcus over at HV Racing and for his donation today. And definitely check out his channel. See him race EV Smoke down the track and have it just tear up everybody else's cars. It's always a fun experience to watch. And I want to thank all of you guys for your time today, because we put in a good almost 4 hours. A good portion of that was me getting everything ready at the last minute. Sorry about that. And we'll catch you on the flip side. I do have my camera right here. At some point I will make time to put together the video for the what to do if you've got coolant in your drive unit, rear drive unit on the large drive unit cars, and that one took longer than I expected because my car went through some troubles all around the same time, and I wanted to have them all smoothed out and have some time on the new equipment before I start talking about it as a recorded video. So we've got several holidays coming up, so happy winter holidays to all of you. Happy New Year. And we'll catch you next week. Same time, same place, as well as tomorrow we've got a Tesla Life Express coming up on the Tesla Life Show, and Wednesday, the Tesla Life Live. And I've got some traveling to do, because like I mentioned earlier, we've got some funerals to do, and we'll play it by ear. We'll make it all happen. And catch you on the flip side.